You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind.
With the emergence of global internet, a human population of several billions, an electronic noosphere, that we are now within the shadow of this transcendental object at the end of time.
I find it a little difficult to say what the subject matter is going to be, because
Magic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Shake and bake, steps back, three-pointer, bang!
Yeah, well, I mean, like, about the All-Star game.
We're on the record.
What do you think?
The All-Star game at this point has become pointless. It's
Yes,
not
you think?
because they're not having the best guys anymore. They make it. I don't know. It's not what it used to be, man. It's
And
just not.
So you don't agree with the nominations? Can I get your takes on the nominations?
Honestly, I would have to see a list. I don't know exactly everyone.
I can
pull
do it.
pull it up the list.
What I'll say about the All-Star game is not even in terms of who's in it, who's involved in the events, just right now. And my take changed on this because when the news broke, they were like, "Oh, we're doing an All-Star game." I was excited. I love basketball. I was like, "Yeah." But then I thought about it. What is the point? Like, this year we should not be doing all this extra stuff. It's already, yeah, that's what it is. It's money. We're already so blessed that we're actually able to have a season during a pandemic. And it was so hard with the bubble. Now we're doing it outside of the bubble. I don't want anything to go wrong. They're flying everyone down to Atlanta. You know, like, people are going to want to go out, do shit. You know what kind of shit they're going to want to do. Why even risk it?
Bro,
There's no point
they
other
did-
than to make money.
The NFL did the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but that's like a necessity. You have to have the Super Bowl. The All-Star game is non-essential to a season. It's frivolous.
Yeah, it's true.
It's nonsense.
It is.
All right, let's look at this.
But what they should do, and what I remember the NBA talking about this last year, was making the All-Star games, or not having the All-Star game, but having like mid-season tournaments that would decide who gets draft picks and or like placements, is like the teams that aren't going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because at that point, if you're not making the playoffs, what is the point of finishing the season? Like, no one really wants to like play anymore. They're like, well, what's the point? So if you actually make them play like a mini tournament or something, to where like the winner gets the first round draft pick or something, like, you know what I mean? That would be kind of cool. I don't know.
I mean, you got to kind of make it feel like it's worth something. I don't know. To me, it's just like it hasn't been good in a while because I don't care about the people in the events. You look at the lineup for the slam dunk competition, and you're just like,
Whack.
who even are you?
This
You
is
know?
whack.
Now,
You
if
don't
it-
know who Hamidou Diallo is,
Yeah,
man?
that's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Or the Taco Bell
I wanna
skills
see-
challenge.
I like
whatever.
the skills
Yeah.
challenge.
I
I'll
like the
down
skills
that.
challenge too, but I want it to just be filled with the people I want it to be filled with.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
then they try and act too cool. Like, just be on there like just dribbling all slow, trying to make it look
I
all
guess.
Kool-Aid style. That's why you probably don't like it. Like, if they were actually competing,
Yeah.
then it would be like,
Yes. I want to see Kyrie and his handles in the skills challenge.
For
you know?
real, bro.
I want to see LeBron in the slam dunk competition. You know, we always get star-studded people in the three-point shootout. We're always going to have Steph in the three-point shootout. That's because, I don't know, it's fun for those guys. It's not hard work to go out there and just lob those threes. But for some reason, the superstars don't want to be in the slam dunk competition. I don't know what it is. Why can't the slam dunk competition be Giannis versus LeBron versus,
Zion.
versus Zion?
I think it's too much about image. Like, I don't think we realize sometimes that a lot of times, like, these NBA superstars, like,
What if I look silly?
Really, that's honestly it. Like, you see how much they, like, I was looking at Jason Tatum's page, and he's always reposting, like, stuff from, and it's not just him, but other young stars too. They're always reposting stuff from, like, either league fades
Right.
or just, like, league fits, and you can tell that they're really about, like, what's my image?
Right.
So if they miss a dunk, and that's partly because it's the fans' fault. People on Twitter can be like,
Yeah.
you see this fool?
That's
Oh,
why
see how he
Jason.
missed his
That's
dunk?
why
Because
Jason.
the internet is undefeated.
That's why he got blocked by Bam,
Bam,
during the
I know.
playoffs.
Trying to go
The
cool.
coldest block.
I mean, honestly, he tried to go up with that.
He did
And
try
he
to
just,
dunk
like,
that.
bent his, like,
I just want
wrist
to
at
say,
a 90-degree angle
in an
backwards.
alternate universe, Bam gets yammed on, and it's the coldest
Yeah.
moment in NBA history. you
I think
know?
I kind of liked it though because, especially in this day and age, where it's all about offense.
Right.
Like, it's cool to see a game-winning block.
I
You
know.
never see it, right?
That was true.
You never see a game-winning block.
You
Which
never
is
see
awesome.
it, but you love to see it. All right, so I've pulled it up. So it looks like we're going to have Team LeBron versus Team Kevin Durant. So
So they're not playing, right? They're just captains.
No,
Are they
no, they're
Okay.
playing.
Well,
Yeah,
Durant's not playing because he still has
Durant's
that
not
lingering
playing.
hamstring issue.
I think that's a
So then
conspiracy.
who replaces him?
Sabonis got his nod, and everyone was whining.
But
like,
who takes over like the cap spot?
I mean,
Wait.
like I think Harden or someone will move into that spot, or Durant still drafts people.
Wait,
I don't
hold
know.
on. Did y'all see what KD said whenever they took him out of the middle of the game because of COVID protocol? He
What?
tweeted. Did you see what he tweeted?
He was like, "Let me live" or something like that.
He said something. He was like, NBA. He's like, he tweeted to the NBA at NBA. He said, your fans are dumb. He said, y'all fans are dumb. Like this is
Wow.
he's basically calling
I don't know how I
NBA.
didn't catch that. Yeah.
Dude, look that you gotta
All right,
look
well,
it up.
let me read
Yeah,
through the rest
finish
of this
this
lineup.
first.
All right, so Team Durant is going to have Giannis,
Fair.
Bradley Beal, who's just balling out of his mind.
Good deal after a snub last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum. So Kyrie Irving is the last of the starters. Then the bench is Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine,
Oh,
and
boy.
Julius Randle. Knicks Nation represent. And
He's
then
been nice, man.
he really has. He's like as good
Look
as
at
I
that.
always thought he was going to be when he got drafted.
23 and 11. Damn.
I know
5 assists.
He's killing it. Ben Simmons, Vucevic, and then Sabonis. Then you've got Team LeBron. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too terribly impressed with Team Durant, but that's fine. Team LeBron has Steph Curry, who's just balling out of his mind.
30 points per game.
He's just madness, single-handedly team on his back. Luka Doncic, who I don't know if he deserves a starting spot over Damian Lillard.
Did you see him hit
That's
those
just me.
back-to-back threes on the Celtics
I
the
just-
other night?
Clutch. He
Oh.
proved why he belongs.
I mean,
nasty.
there's no denying that Luka is a
He's-
top player.
nasty.
his team is underperforming.
Yeah, and I think, and he'll say it. He'll admit, like, people are like, Luka, you're playing so crazy right now. And he's like, doesn't matter, we lose 4 of the last 5. And then Jokic, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Chris
Rudy?
Paul
I
holding
don't
it
know
down
about
for the
Rudy,
veterans. Yeah, I don't know about Rudy, but he'll cry if he doesn't make the team. so,
Relax.
and
Dude.
then D-Book.
Dude, Chris Middleton needs to get in here one time.
He was the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But
He
I
came
mean,
off the bench in the
Oh,
All-Star
he
game
did?
the last 2
Yeah.
Oh,
seasons.
never
Yeah.
mind. I didn't watch the last 2. That's why.
I think with him, he's just more of a player that, like, if his team is performing at an extremely high level, he'll always be one of those guys that just kind of rides in. Like how when
Right.
Draymond would make the All-Star team when the Warriors were going crazy. He's not going to make it now because obviously the Bucks are still good. They're like the 3 seed.
Yeah.
But
with like a 19-10 record or something.
yeah, they're
Not that
good.
good,
They're
but yeah.
good this year, but they're not as great as last year. Last year, at one point before, I think like the bubble had to happen, and they moved into that phase of the season. I think the Bucks were like 41-6 at one point. So
Right.
it's just like that level of dominance, and with Giannis moving to like a second MVP, of course, like Middleton was playing well, but he's gonna get in because
Right.
he had that. You got that energy. They're like, yo, you got to bring him in. He's the second best player on the best team in the league.
I like Chris Middleton, man.
He's got a nice
I like
game.
his game.
He's a 50-40-90 player.
Smooth.
He is. I think he's kind of like not a lost player, like, but he's sometimes forgotten to where it's just he doesn't get as
Yeah,
much credit.
he should be playing in the 90s.
If he was
like,
playing in the 90s,
he's that kind of style, right? Like
Yeah.
he's same with like the guys who have the nice mid-range like Kawhi, and like the mid-range is a lost art now too, right? Like,
really is.
No one's doing the mid-range anymore. There's a couple guys, Kyrie, KD, Brandon Ingram's got a nice mid-range, but yeah.
True. I think
There's a few guys.
it's a necessary skill, but I think just with I was looking into it today because I'm like that's part of my job at work and everything, just looking at numbers. So sometimes I go into like B-ball reference and I just look at how things have changed and just trends and like how the league is adapted. And I wanted to get y'all's takes on this, but I was looking at how many 130 plus point games there have been since like the late 90s and the early 2000s to now. I think in the early 2000s, on average for like the first 5 years, there would be like maybe 10 or like 12 games where there'd be 130 plus for each team.
Right.
And then once we got to like the late 2000s, that ticked up to like 30. But it seemed like there was this weird growing pains period when like guys like Durant, like Derrick Rose, Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry, and like LeBron really like started to understand that, hey, if I can initiate the offense, why are we fitting in these specific roles? And there were some great videos on it. I'll see if I can find them later. But it was just a thing where it's the league, I think, transitioned to moving towards, if you can do everything, you can stay on the court at any time you want.
Yeah.
And I think from then, that's just like, after that weird growing pain period, mid-2010s, like, we would see, like, I think there was like 55 average 130-point games. And then this year, and actually last year, there was like 192 130-point games.
Yeah.
It's
So
insane.
and it's all based on offense. You can only
Right.
do so much on defense, especially with no hand checking. And there are great defensive players, but I think the league has just evolved. It's not that players aren't playing defense. They can still play hard and there's good schemes, but everyone's got so much skill. Like you mentioned, Brandon Ingram, seeing his transformation from the Lakers when he was just still young, but he's added the mid-range game. He's sharpened up his three-point shooting and free throw shooting. He's got a nice handle now. He can rebound. He can bring the ball up the court. You can do that. You can stay on the court.
Yeah,
So
for
it's,
sure.
it's crazy now.
Basketball has changed a lot, and it's almost, it just feels like such a different game, even from like when we were growing up in the early 2000s, which was kind of a rough era. Yeah, like Jordan said, no hand checking, and it just feels like there's no textbook five positions anymore. You think of a guy
Good
as a
point.
1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or 5, and now it's kind of just like, okay, what skill set can this guy perfect? Put him out here and let him do this role. He doesn't have to play a textbook 4 if
Right.
he can also play like a guard sometimes
Right.
or a big sometimes. So it's kind of interesting to just see where we're in a league that's so saturated for talent right now. I mean, the level of talent in the league is just preposterous.
Yeah, it's insane.
And it's cool to see that era of talent has also like intersected with a time in the league where everyone can just like play their role outside of the boundary limits of what their position defines them to play like. And we're kind of just being blessed with amazing NBA right now.
Dude.
It's why it's like probably the best league in professional sports right now.
I
Better
will
than the
die on that
NFL.
hill with you.
Yeah.
Dude, you have guys right now coming in the league, 7-footers who can do it all, who can dribble, play. Like,
Elite point.
You have
would have
7 footers
never
like in the skills challenge.
in the
And they can
90s,
win.
in the 90s or back, you would have never imagined a 7-footer or a guy like KD or a guy like Bol Bol or somebody like just ridiculously long, tall, lanky who can dribble, shoot threes. You're just like, what is that? It's an alien species.
Right.
It's insane, like the talent that these guys are coming up with. And I think a lot of it is too like the training has changed. Like a lot of guys are starting at the age of 5 and just doing drills and training until, you know, they hit the pros like nonstop every day, and you have guys with them. So you can see that the skill levels are insane. Like Luka Doncic coming in at the age of 19, 20 years old, schooling 40-year-olds. They're looking like a vet. Like it's insane.
Right.
And then another thing on your point, I love the point you're talking about how the offense is just like dominant now, and the defense looks like it's just like they're playing against high school guys. Sometimes you're like, how are they scoring so many points?
Right.
And I also saw when you're talking about numbers, there's only a certain amount of people who have averaged over 20 points or 30 points in a season. And I think in 2011 when KD won MVP, in like his prime, he had 29. I just recently looked this up, so I only know this. He had 29 30-point games.
Yeah.
Right? And since then, or like I think if you look now, and he was the only guy to have 29. There wasn't anyone to get over 30. Now in this age, you have at least 6-7 guys averaging more than 30-point games.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is like, how is that possible? It's like we wasn't heard of back then, you know? And now you got guys averaging over 20, 25 points easy. There's like at least 30-something guys doing that as before. You go back 10 years ago, I mean, it just wasn't happening.
So how does that happen though? Like, what do you think is the catalyst? First of all, when did this start? I mean, did it start with like the D'Antoni Suns team? When did the NBA start to shift into this offensive-centric, non-traditional player roles? And what is the catalyst for that happening? Because it's like the line is blurred for me. I almost don't even remember it not being
it
like
was a
this.
slow transition. It was a transition.
Right.
I think it was like that, like what Adam was talking about when like KD was averaging 30 in 2010 and 2011, and then when D Rose won MVP, I think in like his third year, I think when like those two got their MVPs, I think D Rose was 11 and KD was like 2014 or something. But it's like Adam was saying, like those guys having those skills, they were kind of like a break of the mold.
Yes.
Like we had seen LeBron at that point. He'd been in the league like 6-7 years.
Right.
And it was just like, oh, LeBron. But we hadn't really seen anyone just like go crazy scoring wise. We knew LeBron could do it.
Yeah.
But it was a thing where it's like he's always been a passing player by nature.
Yeah.
That's what honestly, I think maybe his best skill is.
Yeah, even though to some it's his biggest fault, they're like, LeBron needs to shoot the ball.
He needs to shoot the ball, like that's
Yeah.
here or there. But I mean, like I think like what you're saying is, I think that was a transition period because like teams were still like, okay, do we want to go all in? And on your son's point, I think they were like the precursors.
Yeah.
And Steve Nash has talked about it, I think, on the Bill Simmons podcast. He was like, I should have been shooting like probably 18 times a game. I
Yes.
think the most shots I averaged at times was like 13 and a half.
He never averaged over 20 points in his career.
That's a good point. Like
Right.
he always averaged double-digit assists.
And you know he
He's
could
master
have.
facilitator.
Like, you know he could
easy.
have. He's more talented than half of the
a
guys in the NBA.
ridiculous
Easy.
score, a
Yeah.
ridiculous mid-range jump shot.
It was a different time.
Ridiculous ability to create his own look.
Like
You
he
know,
was 50, 40, 90 during like the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, you transplant him to now. And I think one of the things, like you mentioned, Adam, like if you put him now, what does that do? Like Tony Parker's another good example. TP in his prime from like 2005 to like 2013, he was averaging like 19 a game with like 5 or 6 assists. His best
Right.
shooting years, I think he would shoot like 39 or 41% from three. But he wasn't shooting a lot.
No.
You put him in now, he probably averages closer, like if you just extrapolate, I think he averages like 26
Right.
on like maybe two and a half made threes a game.
Right.
Because he just has that, what'd you say? J.R. Smith thing? The ultra fluorescent green light?
Ultra green light.
There it is. Like
Whenever you get the ball, let it fly.
I was about
Yeah.
to say, like now the players are talented like that and teams have finally just bought in, I think.
Yeah. Another thing is possessions. There's more possessions now.
Right.
So that's why it's not fair to measure the stats of today to guys back then
It's
because
such a quick game.
so what
Possessions
you
are-
should should do is you go per 75 possessions. That's how you get real
Yeah.
like accurate numbers. If you start to look, if you want to compare T-Mac to
Right.
Clyde Drexler or something, you go per 75
You got to make it a level playing field.
possessions.
Yeah,
What did they average? Then you can really look at like numbers because it's so inflated now. Everything. I mean, you got guys averaging triple doubles like Russell Westbrook.
Man,
Ridiculous. And you got freaking James Harden averaging 37 points a game or some
Right.
shit. Like it's insane.
it's, like you said,
It's
they
insane.
shoot so much now and like sometimes they're even now it's like that's a questionable shot for except maybe a few select players, but
Yeah.
I think just like the usage of the 3-point line, it's like it's existed for what, like 40 years or something, 40 plus years now.
Ever since the 70s.
I was about, well, damn, like even more, like, but people never really knew how to use it, or it was just like going back to that thing where it's like, this is your role. You're a spot up shooter, Michael Redd.
Right.
Well, Michael Redd kind of could do it all, but it's like players like Mike Miller or like Peja Stojakovic and stuff. You guys are like our elite shooters. You can maybe do more, but you're elite shooters first. Now it's just like, well, Steph Curry's an elite shooter, and he's like one of the best ball handlers the league's ever seen.
Right.
And he can get 5 or 6 assists and rebounds a game. Give him the ball. He's shooting 50, 40, 90.
Right.
Let him shoot. Whereas before it was like the point guard initiates the offense.
The point guard has to facilitate.
Exactly. Now he can facilitate or he can do everything.
Right.
Just depending on whatever like the vibe is of the game.
Yeah, and then you look at like there's some of these guys are averaging 13 3-pointers a game or like something crazy like that. Okay, if you're shooting that much, yeah, you should make 6 3-pointers a game because we look at it like, oh, that's crazy. He made 11 threes. Yeah, but he's shooting 20.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you should make that if you're that good of a shooter, you know? So it's like, it's kind of just manipulating the way we're seeing it happen. And it's going to become like washed down a little bit like, oh, it's just going to be average. Oh, yeah, he hit 10 threes. Yeah, normal. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to get to that point where it's just guys are just doing it all the time.
Eventually we'll probably see an NBA that has a 4-point line or something, just
Right.
ridiculous. I mean, the game's always going to change. And that's why it's always unfair to compare players from different eras when you hear people, oh, this guy's the GOAT. This guy's the... It should be like, he's the GOAT of this era. He's the GOAT of that era. Because like you said, you have to look at things on a level playing field to evaluate people's greatness. And when people are looking at the GOAT conversation, which is a conversation that is had in basketball a ridiculous amount of times.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You can't, for some reason, you can't start a basketball conversation that doesn't end with, well, who do you think's the greatest of all time? You know? And so it's kind of a frustrating conversation because it's pointless.
Yeah, it
It's
is,
such a
for
different
sure.
league.
For sure.
But one thing you can kind of talk about, which I always think is interesting, is like, what would happen if the 2016 Warriors met the 73-10 Bulls?
That's what you got 2K for, man.
Yeah,
Just
well,
go
I mean,
play
like,
2K.
no, really. I mean, you look at these teams that we hail as like the greatest teams of all time, like the Showtime Lakers. What would the Showtime Lakers do if they ran up against like this Nets team with Kyrie, KD, and Harden?
That'd be exciting for sure.
I mean, would they just get stomped?
No.
Would the Nets get stomped? I mean, what would happen? What would happen if you took a team from 2021 with no traditional player roles, heavily offensive centric, and you put them against a team that was like the Knicks in the 80s or the Pistons in the 80s, some team that was just like a rough and tumble defensive team? Then what happens?
Well, I think it depends. What rules are they playing by? Are they playing in the rules and the skill sets are like, is it 80s based rules or is it 2020 based rules?
That's a good question. Let's say just for argument's sake, you put them in the 80s.
I think it would be more of an adjustment for the 2020s team to get used to hand checking and like there's no. I think that like the 3-second violation was something that was like, its advent was maybe in like the 90s. I want to say. So it's just like, okay, you play against the early 90s Bulls team. How does that go? Maybe it's probably in the Bulls' favor because Jordan was putting up 36 with hand checking, with like no 3-second violations at times. It's just like they could foul the shit out of you, honestly, and without risk of flagrant a lot of times. So it's just like Jordan he'd have his way. Or it's like more so on offense, I think the Warriors would still be okay, but defensively they'd have to get used to like, okay, how do we deal with Jordan? Like,
so if Michael Jordan plays in 2021, is he just scoring 40 all the time? And
if James Harden can average 37, like Adam mentioned, I think MJ can probably average 41 a game.
And if Jordan did not shoot that many 3-pointers.
Right.
If he was putting up more threes, and he could shoot it, he wasn't the greatest, but he could still put up threes and make them. I think he probably was a similar 3-point shot, I mean, percentage-wise as LeBron maybe.
LeBron shoots
36%.
slightly higher. Career-wise, LeBron shoots at like a very slightly higher clip. But yeah, roughly similar.
Yeah, so he would definitely average more.
Yeah, I think like it just depends on the rules and like, okay, what's the play? What like?
And there's more possessions. So.
Yeah, what's the guidebook look like? And teams foul shit out of you?
Speaking of the hand checking and the rules, one rule that's got to go after this year is the pump fake and then leaning into the guy to get the foul. Ridiculous. That and the coming off the screens.
Right.
Like getting coming off of a screen and just pulling up while the guy's trying to come around it.
Right.
It's ridiculous. It's impossible to guard. It makes it virtually impossible to guard some of those guys.
There
especially
has to be some rules implemented to allow defenders and defenses to level the playing field. Everything is stacked against them. It's just like in, kind of in the NFL where these defensive backs are playing at a drastic disadvantage. The NBA has to implement some sort of rules that gives these defenses a fighting chance, because those moves that Harden does, or like the move where you go up for a jump shot and then you come down on the defender in front of you as if he got under you, and then you wind up securing 3 free throws and all that garbage. Something has to be done. Yeah,
there's a couple of things. I mean, number one, the pump fake and jumping into the guy got to go. The one where Harden manipulates the refs is when he throws that hook, when he tries to hook someone's arm when they're just right here. He's initiating that. So I think anytime an offensive player is initiating contact, like purposely trying to like rip through their arm, like they changed that, the KD rule. When KD originally, they changed that. Thank God. It still gets called sometimes, but it's not a shot anymore, right? So if he's going to be doing that, no shot. Same thing. It's the same play. No shot. Take it out of bounds. Maybe get a foul. Maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's stuff like that they can easily change. But versus like landing, stuff like that is a little bit harder to ref, I
think I like that point because I'm with you. It's just like, there's just so many times I was watching the Suns and Hornets game, and like Devin Booker got a 4-point play when Hayward closed out well and didn't jump. He just closed out and he wasn't underneath him. And they implemented the rule because it was like when Zaza did that dirty thing to Kawhi in the playoffs back in 2017. But it's just a thing where the refs can't fall for it. I don't think a rule needs to be implemented. The refs just need to.
Yeah.
Like, come on, y'all. Like, defenses are already gonna always be behind because you can always evolve offensively. There's only so much you can evolve with defensively. Like, you can create new schemes, but ultimately, like, if a player like Kyrie says, okay, I'm going to give you a dribble hesitation and then go to the outside, go between my legs, do a half spin step back, you can't stop that. Like,
All right, would you say, though, more players today are working much harder on their offensive game than they are defensive game?
Oh, absolutely. That's
so
just
do you
my
think that could be
conjecture,
a big thing, though? Like, if guys actually focus, like, days instead of, like, just ball handling drills and shooting drills, how about let's do defensive drills for a good 2 hours or a full day? I think it would change the way we play, but I think being that, it is basketball, you win scoring points, you assume that, okay, it seems counterintuitive to just focus on defense the whole time. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
But you kind of need guys like that.
No, I think like the guys like Tony Allen and stuff are always going to be important. And Ben Simmons is
but they're so rare now.
Ben Simmons is true. And Ben Simmons, I think, is a good example of like how he's first team all defense, but he's almost like a hybrid. He still has offensive skill sets. And I think it's just a thing where it comes down to like maybe two aspects. It's just like, I'm with you in like the defensive drills. And I definitely think that like defensive minded coaches, like how Thibodeau has like your Knicks playing like high level defense now. It's just like,
I love seeing the Knicks be a defensive team.
For sure. But I think it's just a thing, Adam, where it's just like there's only so many ways you can initiate a closeout or there's only so many like.
There's still guys closing out wrong though.
That's true.
Still, NBA players. I'm like, you don't close out like that. That's not how you do it.
That is very true. But I think it's just a thing where it's like that's one aspect where it's just like there's so many ways to evolve your game offensively. Whereas defensively, it doesn't have as many branching options to where it's just like I can add this to my game defensively. Whereas like with the offense, it's like, all right, I want to work on my ball handling, and then when you're working on your ball handling, that transitions naturally to okay, I put them in the blender, and then I can stop. How do I adjust to triple threat? Then that can lead to like up and under moves. Do I work on the scoop or do I work on the floater? There's just so many branches to offense. And then the other thing I think that really is you get paid, bro. I'm like, you get paid to put up these points.
Sure.
I'm like, Tony Allen, I think his highest ever like salary in a season was like 11 mil. Like Steph and then like Bradley Beal and just guys that can shoot. And now obviously they're superstars, but it's like you can shoot. I think the average salary for like a 40% three-point shooter is like 25.5 mil. Whereas before it was only like 9 mil as a designated shooter. It's just like if you're a kid, I'm like, okay, you're gonna spot the 3-point line. You're gonna like put me and my mom on, like put me and your mom on. Like, you're gonna make this money being an elite shooter because if you can shoot and be a 3-and-D player, you'll get a bag.
Yeah,
you'll get a bag.
Right.
Isn't it crazy how like we talk about quantities of money like that? Like, Tony Allen, his max was like 11 mil. It's just like such a preposterous sum of money.
All right, talking about this, going back to the whole offense, just to settle this kind of argument, at the end of the day, the NBA is a business, and the way they're going to sell more, get more, is by putting up offense. And people want to see dunks. People want to see points.
People want to see points, man.
People want to see somebody shoot 10 threes in a game. People want to see.
So I don't think I can't imagine the NBA. I mean, maybe in a small aspect, trying to help the defense a little bit, but I mean, they want the scoring. You know what I mean? Like they're not complaining. Oh, another 130-point game. You know, they're not complaining like that. You're like, you know,
got to do something about all this scoring.
Oh man, like too dynamic. Like no.
But anyways.
All right, so that's NBA. I think introductions are in order. Today we are here with my good friend Jordan Eddings, who is a photographer extraordinaire. He works for Shell in the amazing business sphere of supply chain management, which I don't understand at all. So we'll have him tell us about supply chain management and what life is like working for a company like Shell in times like this, where we don't really know what the future of oil and gas looks like and things like that. You're also like a cardio machine, freaking marathon man. So we're very happy to have you here to talk about way more things than sports. Jordan and I frequently have conversations about life that last like till 3 a.m, and like we get to where we're just talking about stupid shit like, well, what if you woke up and you could shoot webs out of your hands? But then like sometimes we're also talking about like the universe and all kinds of shit like that. So I kind of just want to like to get this podcast on a more conversational aspect beyond sports. Why don't you tell us a little bit about like what you do for a living, what exactly supply chain management is, and what got you into that?
For sure. So just want to say thank y'all. It's pretty awesome to be here and see what you guys do and just to be a part of it. I'm humbled. But so my job is basically just right now I work for the polymer section, and that's just like plastics basically. And it's my aspect of the job is just like being a logistics analyst and coordinator. So it's just that really just boils down to, okay, how do you manage what you have, and then how do you get it to your supplier, like get the work from your suppliers and move it out and get it to your customers in like a timely fashion, but do it safely and cost effectively. So I like it. It's pretty linear, but then it's not as linear as I thought it would be when I was in college. Because when I was in college, I thought it was just a thing where it's like, okay, cool, it's point A and point B, and it is that essentially. But what I learned is that and it's pretty cool that in college as I was developing as a person, I also got to see how like supply chain is just more than do this to get there. There's so many different ways that you can attack a possible like shipping problem.
Right.
Like, okay, if something goes wrong, what's our backup carrier? How do we manage a relationship with them? Okay, what kind of rates do they provide? Are they at a good safety level that we're comfortable with as like Shell, because that's big for us. So it's pretty cool to just be able to see all of these moving parts. And I'm on the side of like basically rail. So working with like the 7 main railroads, and then like the members of my team who are all great. It's pretty cool to just see, okay, there's this much weight. We're working in like kilotons of product and everything, and how do we move it from up in the Northeast, which is where our plant's going to come online, to basically all across the United States. So it's a good job. I love working there. And it's like you mentioned, there probably is like some contention around oil and gas, and that's understandable. That's how I felt when I was before I even interned with Shell back in 2016, because I was like, I don't know how I feel about working for them. But I think it's really a thing where Shell's doing a lot of work right now in new energies, and it's not seen as much. But everyone does need energy, and we're just trying to do our best right now to make sure that we can provide that, because
Right.
everyone still needs to drive, everyone still needs to have light, and everyone still
Right.
needs to have electricity.
Right.
So just managing those things and seeing how much Shell is investing on the back end that we might not see, but it's a really copious amount
Right.
to basically get ready for, as we call it, the energy transition. I think that's work I'm proud of. So I'm happy to work with Shell, and plus they have like really good benefits and they treat their employees well. They got a good culture, and I love it, man.
So, in like Shell, since it's a global company and you're working with supply chain management, I mean, are you kind of just dealing with stuff? I mean, you're dealing with stuff beyond the Houston area, even though you're based in Houston, a company the size of Shell. I mean, you're dealing with logistics on an area. So, like, are you looking at nationwide logistics problems or regional or?
Yeah, it's really like that. It's really right now it's just like North America stuff. So it's just like I mentioned the 7 railroads, and they're like class 1 railroads, but there's 2 in Canada, like Canadian National and Pacific. So we sometimes work with those to basically get everything we need, and then there's 5 that span the U.S. like Union Pacific, KCS, BNSF, what is it, NS, and then CSX. Just like working with those different railroads.
Right.
They each have different, basically routes, and it's almost like a web. But like the UP runs basically the West Coast, whereas like NS and KCS they kind of run around like in the Southwest and Southeast.
Right.
So just working with different railroads and different customers depending on where they are, we're like, all right, we need to have a good relationship with this railroad. We
Yeah.
need to get these rates. So it's pretty cool, but it's pretty daunting at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, this is a lot of product. But once you get used to it and you got like a good team around you, you start to really understand what you're good at
Right.
and where you fit. So
It's interesting to think about rail still being like such a huge, like we're talking about a method of transportation that has been around since the 1800s.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that it is still to this day extremely effective. You know, I just went to Big Bend a couple of days ago, and I got caught behind this insanely long train coming through Alpine, Texas. And I was just watching these cars go by, and I don't know what was in there, but I was assuming oil because it was those big, like, circular black
tankers,
cars, those
yeah.
tanker cars. And it's just like, God damn, it's 2021, and, like, rail's still going strong. So it's really amazing to see that, like, certain, you know, ingenuities that stem from, like, ages ago still, like, infinitely valuable. So it's really crazy
That's
to think
wild.
about that on a scale of like a company like Shell. And I know you mentioned the energy transition. We, you know, being from Texas, we talked about this on the last show. We just had that huge winter storm. And one of the things we brought up was how insane it was that people were blaming it on green energy and saying, oh, the windmills froze. This is the reason why this is happening. I mean, working in energy and, you know, working for an oil and gas company, when problems like that arise, do you see like the transition to green energy actually affecting people receiving power or anything like that? Or is that just kind of like a misleading argument led by people that are trying to stress the importance of oil and gas when really energy transition is the way to go?
it's really whataboutism. Energy transition is the way to go, because one thing that people never talk about is I think Norway gets 67% of its energy from like solar and windmills.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure they get a lot colder than Texas does.
It might.
So-
Norway, Texas.
maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
So it's just, I think right now with how our grid is set up, like green energy only provides 12 to 18% of our power.
Yeah.
So I'm like, even if those did go offline, like they're saying they did,
Right.
that still doesn't account for everything else that's happening. Like we're still kind of like around with coal and really natural gas. And natural gas is cool, but we need to be able to winterize the plant. It really just came down to like, that shit ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna get that
Come
cold.
on, it's Texas.
I was about to say,
Winterize.
Billy Joel, like relax. Like, I'm sorry to anyone named Billy Joel. That was not my intention. But it's just like, if you don't take precautions, then of course you can expect something like
Right.
that to happen. So it's just like, it was negligence for money.
Right.
Just like the reason the NBA is having the All-Star game. So
And so like, the grid being privatized, I mean, I guess I don't fully understand what that means. I know that other states can't provide electricity for Texas because our grid is like localized in a way that we can't receive power from anywhere else. Like Texas was just like, this is our electricity. No one, you know, contribute to our. So how does that? Is there a way to even change that? Is
Well,
there a way to incorporate our grid?
The
into-
original reason why we wanted our own grid was in case we succeeded.
that's really it. We just have like the
Oh
So we could
secession.
run our own.
God.
You didn't know that?
We have
Are
the
you
secession. No,
serious?
Adam's completely right. We have some kind of secession fetish. We're
Yeah.
like, what if we left the union? Like,
Yeah, dude, that's why. So we could be self-sustaining. We can just be our own country.
I don't understand how people think that will work. You know,
Bro,
the
it-
idea of Texas will rise again. It's so stupid.
I was about to say, oh, guess what? Now we have to set up trade agreements with the United States.
Right.
That thing we were a part of.
Right.
and they're not gonna be very
No,
friendly
they're
to
not
us.
gonna be very happy about it, yeah.
Yeah, we'll work with y'all. Nah,
But I will say I'm not sure how the privatization works,
Right.
but it to me just intuitively it just makes me think that there's independent owners versus owned by the state or government.
No, you're completely right.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
It's just a thing where it's like we have this secession fetish, like you said, but it's also a thing where we don't want to have any association with the federal government.
Right.
Where it's just like, no, don't tell us what to do. But it's like, okay, I get it. Like you want to rebel against authority, but when there's situations like this and we don't properly prepare for them, shit like this happens. Whereas like I think I'd say like 73% of Texas is on our Texas grid, but then like El Paso and stuff, they're on the West Coast grid. So they were just looking at us like,
Damn.
we could have helped y'all.
Right.
I'm like, if we were on the grid, then they can just divert kilowatts to us.
Right.
Yeah.
And just be like, yo, you're good. You got everything you need. Because we were almost like, I think they said we were 4 minutes and 38 seconds away from like
Oh my
catastrophic
God.
failure of the
Really?
grid. Yeah, to where like we would have
Wow.
lost like 3 or 4 transformers,
It would
major
have been like
ones.
months, right? We would have been like in the dark for
It wouldn't have
months.
been months, but it would have been at least 11 days or something.
Wow.
Where it's just
Think
like,
about that.
fam, like 80% of the city doesn't have power for 11 days.
Whoever that man is who was at that laptop with 4
You
minutes
press
and
that
38
button, he was like,
seconds,
dog, no.
you know, that's like, imagine being that guy, the guy that saved Texas from a 2-week-long blackout.
We saved them from ourselves. I'm just like, go to Last of Us real
Yeah.
quick, bro. Like,
And I
yeah, it
think
would've
they
been
said like
crazy.
the total financial implications of this whole winter storm is like $160 billion. Like everything that was lost due to, you know, all the commerce and all that stuff that was lost due to things going offline and everything was like well over $100 billion.
That's why Biden's here today to help save us.
Yeah. Oh,
Coming to save
Honestly.
Texas.
Yeah.
No.
We don't.
You see him dapping
I'm
out
with
the
you,
mayor
but-
of Houston on the ride. Sylvester Turner was like, "Hey, my man." He
I
like
was about
dapping-
to- I'm like, I'm with y'all entirely.
Right.
It's just a thing where it's just funny seeing like that. It's,
No, it's definitely a political move, right?
It
it's,
is.
It's
Right.
just for face value.
but I mean, like, I'm still with it though. I'm just
yeah,
like,
it's still cool to see.
Yeah.
without delving in that, because like my head could explode about how much I don't like the last guy.
Yeah.
But it's just,
Yeah, we could be seeing right now a tweet from Trump saying those goddamn tech or something stupid.
No,
Like,
you know, there was that one time I don't remember what state it was, but I remember he was like, "If they want help, they better start playing nice." He like wanted
Yeah.
them to like compliment him in order to receive
I
federal
was like,
level help.
what is happening? Like, so it's nice to not have to worry about that anymore. But
Right.
it is just, I don't know, man. We still got our own problems. We got like people going to Cancun and everything.
Oh my God, I see people every day on social media, just like going out to packed clubs. We were looking at videos from some concert earlier in Houston, where people were just packed like
With
sardines.
Gucci
in
man.
People were just packed into a nightclub in Houston.
Yeah.
No one was wearing masks. You know, but they all had drinks in their hand. Oh, because they had drinks in their hand, they were good, right? They didn't need to wear masks. Ridiculous.
There you go.
So Jordan, I want to ask you about your photography, how you got into it. It seems like it's your passion, and where did that start from?
Oh, for sure, man. So I think for me it was I think I had always seen like photos. My mom and dad always kept like catalogs in like our guest room where there were these big photo albums. And my dad was talking to me about it because he was up in Chicago and he would develop film with like his friends and stuff. And I always thought that was so cool. So he showed me like his old Minolta camera, and it was just like a film-based rig. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then sure enough, like he got like a Canon, and I think it was just like, it was like a Rebel. It wasn't anything too crazy. It was like it was a crop sensor, and I just liked how he was doing that, and like the photos that were coming out of it. So I never really like got on board because I was too focused in school and college and stuff. But I was like, all right, once I get a job, I'm gonna go into it. So we took like a trip for like after my college graduation and got a chance to really play around with the camera. And I was like, all right, I think I want to do this when I start working. So after working in like 2018, I remember I got it like on the day of the Super Bowl. And for a minute, dude, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like
Right.
this is too much. There's too many options, but it really was just practice. I
Yeah.
just had to keep practicing. And then once I figured out how like the 3 main levers of like the camera work, where it's like aperture, shutter speed, ISO, and everything else kind of fell into place. So I started to learn how to manage the light and figured out how to manage sharpness, like what lenses worked. And then after that, like it just kind of became like an avalanche, practicing in manual mode. I was like, all right, it all makes sense now. So after that, just kept working with it. Then it upgraded to like I'm a Nikon dude, so I was on a D3300 to start. Then I went to a D750, which is a full sensor. And then I made the jump to like the current one I'm at, which is like, I think 45 megapixels with the D850, which is what I have now. So I just fell in love with the craft.
Is
man.
that this one that's set up here?
Yeah, that's the
Man.
one set up there. So it just became a thing where it's like I love being able to capture things document moments, and I think for me that's like the biggest stuff. I love to see the natural beauty that the world has, and then I love being able to edit it, because people sometimes are like, oh, are you editing in Lightroom or Photoshop? Photoshop is scary, by the way. I don't know how to fully use it. Lightroom
Same.
I'm better with, but I mean, like, I understand that argument, but I'm like, that's the same type of thing that you would do with film before, where it's like, if you want to underexpose the film, you leave it in the chemicals in the darkroom for a certain amount of time, but if you want to underexpose it, you can do that too. So there's just multiple ways that you could develop the film. Then it's just a similar concept. You just have more options.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with the editing. I fell in love with like being able to just capture things the way I wanted. And I think the best part is just I have like 3 years worth of like photos now categorized by month, and it's just like, man, what were we doing in like March of 2019?
Oh, yeah,
that's
cool.
right. We want to
There you
like
go.
this
You can
family
just look
trip.
back at it. Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's just stuff like this too, where it's just like when I'm with my friends and my brothers and stuff, you can capture the moments and you can be like, damn, what were we talking about then?
I know.
And then the memories just kind of spin up again. So I love being able to have that. There's some cool looks at times where it's just like, yo, this is kind of hard. And printing stuff out, like
Yeah.
gifting it to people, putting it up on my wall. I just love it, man. So
Yeah. There is something about capturing like a moment,
Right.
and it's just there. It's like all
Right.
you can. I mean, you can never like relive it, but you can always like once you see it again, it'll bring back that memory. Like
yeah.
Right.
that's kind of why I want like being in like especially having like a professional camera. You can't capture like stars or anything like. I mean, we have awesome cameras on our phones, but
Oh,
like there's
that's-
only
yeah.
so much we can do versus like having a professional camera. And like for example, you were just in Big Ben and seeing the stars out there or the moon or anything
Yeah.
like. You can never capture that on your
No,
phone or
it
anything.
all just-
but
well,
having
I mean, even capturing like landscape shots or just capturing like the mountains
Yeah.
or the desert plains or all the stuff that I saw out there.
right.
You're looking at it and you're just like, oh my God, look at this. But then you take a picture of it on your phone
Yeah.
and it never, ever does it justice. But once you start getting into, Nikon and Canon DSLRs, I mean, it looks better than the human eye sometimes. Like, it's
Yeah.
really amazing what you can capture. And, even though you're editing the pictures, you're not really changing anything. You're kind of just like bringing out that beauty of like the moment and stuff like that, which is what's so crazy about.
That's where like the artistry comes in,
Right.
right? Being able to do that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, your average person can take 10 photos, and one or two of them, they're going to look pretty good.
Yeah.
But once you really understand what makes a truly... I mean, it is an art. Like, photography is really an art. It's not just like, oh, that looks cool, click, Like, it's actually something that there's an art to it, and I think editing... I feel like some people shit on it. Sometimes it's like, well, that's not how it really looked,
Yeah.
But that's like where the art comes in, I think. I mean, you're kind of like giving your own artistic spin on bringing out the beauty of that moment. And you've shot parks, you've shot national parks, you've shot cities all around, America and Canada. You've done events and things like that. What is like your favorite shit to go out and shoot? Like,
I'm
what
a
is
city
your-
dude. I'm a city boy, man. Like
cityscapes.
cityscapes,
and,
like long exposures of like the city moving, and now like since the DA50 can do time lapses, just like seeing how like clouds can move, or man, like if a sun is setting on a city,
Right.
that always hits differently. But I have a lot of appreciation for national parks and nature. I'm a bit of a bitch because it's more difficult for me. So
Right.
and I love the challenge, but at the same time, it is a tad frustrating. Where I was like, damn, how do I frame this? Because I was in Zion with like some friends, and there would just be moments where I was like, all right, I'll do a panorama, and that would come out well. But then there would be other times where I was like, all right, I don't want to capture this, and like we would hike to the top, and we'd see, all right, we see the valley. Do I want to shoot this landscape or portrait? Shit, am I leaving anything out?
Right.
It's more so just a question where I'm like, am I forgetting something?
Where it's like in the city, you kind of just feel like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, this is a city skyscape. I know exactly how to shoot this.
Exactly. Well, it's just practice.
Right.
But it's also I had an affinity for it. But I mean, like, I love shooting nature too. It's just gonna take more practice. And one thing that you did mention, in regards to like, people would take 10 photos, and 2 of them would go good. It's the exact same, bro. If not more like that.
But your standards are like what you're considering are like the 8 bad photos. I would be like, look at these 8 amazing photos I took.
Okay, I guess, yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know, man. It is a thing where it's like I'll take something and I'll be like this isn't exposed correctly. This is slightly out of like focus right here. Is there fringing on the sides? Shit, is this like sharp enough? Like,
But you and I have sat down and we've looked at your pictures together, like when you go to the air show, when you go to a new city, and you're like, yeah, check out these shots I got. And I'm like, Jay, this one right here. And you're like, really? That was like one of my least favorite ones. I feel like it's kind of just like maybe you've just kind of like become more critical of yourself or something like that.
well, I mean, if the ones I show you are the ones that are edited from the raw
Right.
files, but I mean, it's still a thing where I think that's like the best part, like you mentioned, Adam. It's just like it's an art, and everyone has a different interpretation. So like the photos that I edit are all ones that I think, yeah, these make the cutting room. Like there's stuff that's gonna be left on the cutting room floor, but these make it.
Right.
These are good. But it's always fun to me when I'm like putting them up on my feed or I'm just showing them to people in person. I'll be like, all right, I like all of these photos, but these are the ones I love, and they'll be like, this is good. But then I'll be like, the ones that I'm like, yeah, this is like I give it a B,
Right.
like maybe a B, B minus. Tommy's like, this is an A plus. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
So but that's the cool
Well,
part.
also, you know what you're looking for. Like, you know what to look for. The little small little details that probably the average person isn't looking for. Those, you know.
So, well,
you
yeah,
know?
for sure. I mean, like that's like the technical stuff. Like
Yeah.
the technical stuff in regards to like what lens am I using? Is this in focus? Is the shutter speed good?
Yeah.
Like that's the technical stuff. I just mean like in terms of like what beauty is.
Okay,
But that's the
right,
best part.
right,
Like
right.
you can look at some stuff and I'll be like, this
Sure.
is good to me, and you'll be like, this one speaks to me though.
Sure.
That's always like something I'm like, really?
Sure.
And it's just always so cool to me because I'm like, man, people interpret things so differently.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's what makes art, right? Is
Yeah.
Interpretation. Yeah.
it's a really incredible thing. And we were talking about music earlier and creating a scale from bad to good.
Right.
It would be completely different for everybody. Like if you could put a chart, with Tom was saying, if you make a chart with bad on one end, good on the other, and put every song ever created and then
Right.
put that on that timeline, it would be completely different for everybody.
Yeah, because
But
like the thing I was saying is I was curious. We were like, how long do you think it would take you to listen to every song that was ever made? And then I started looking at how many songs are uploaded to streaming platforms every day. And then I started wondering, all right, if you could make a scale of good, you've got all the good songs on one end, and the top of the scale is like whatever the best song of all time is. The bottom of the scale is whatever the worst song of all time is. I want to know what the most average song that's ever been created is. Is it like Smash
pretty
Mouth?
funny to think about.
Is it like some Maroon 5 song? Like, what is the most average track that's ever been made? And then we realized you could never do it because the scale would be different for all 7.5 billion people
Yeah.
on the planet.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, what if you evaluated on something you could quantify, like harshness or mellowness, and you put it like, or beats per minute or something like that. And then you looked at, okay, what is the most regular song in between these two extremes?
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you, like, everyone will look at photographs differently because everyone's scale is different.
You know, I
The
just
stuff-
thought about, like, art makes you question what is true.
Yeah.
Like, you look at something and it can make you feel a way, or you can see something that makes you think of something, or you can look at something and say, okay, this is that.
Right.
But is it really that?
Right.
Is it, or is it just that to you?
that's a good point.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
it kind of, and I think when you start to dive deeper into that understanding of like what is art and like being able to really appreciate art, just in general, any kind of art, music to painting, like it really can open up your perspective of the world and like what, like anything can be anything almost, like when you get to that point of this imagine it, and you really get that as a child and you kind of lose it as you grow older, kind of, but some people keep it. And I don't know, I'm just riffing, but it makes you think.
No.
Just opens up your perspective
Right.
of the world a little bit more, you know?
I think it makes complete sense because
Yeah.
even with stuff that's more like defined, like buildings, since I like to shoot cities, that kind of is like indicative of my personality and like the work I do for a living. I love my work because it's kind of how my personality is for the most part. It's just like I like things to kind of reason, that have like reason behind them and to make sense. So when I see buildings, I'm like, man, the structural integrity, how sharp it looks, how
Okay.
clean it is,
Sure.
and how everything seems like it's lined up. I love it.
Mm.
But then I love taking shots of flowers too,
Mhm.
because that's something where it's like, I wonder what like a hibiscus means, because I think it's pretty and it invokes warmth and it's one of my mom's favorite flowers. But I wonder what it means to someone else.
Mm.
I wonder if it brings up feelings of melancholy to
Mm.
someone else if they look at it. So it's like you said, it's just, what does it mean to you? What you can assign meaning to so many different things,
Yeah.
even if it is just an object. So
Mm.
That is interesting. That's my favorite thing about art. You know, like it's like a giant ink blot test, man.
Yeah.
You're looking at the same thing, but you're seeing completely
Yeah.
different stuff. I don't even think I know what a hibiscus looks like. Yes, I do. It's the one. Yeah, it's got like the big stem coming out of
Yeah.
the middle of the.
I was about to
It's
say
like the
it's
red
typical
and yellow,
Hawaiian flower, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
typical
Kinda
Hawaiian.
looks
When you
Yeah.
see Hawaiian
when
flowers.
you think of like a
Yeah.
Hawaiian tropical type flower,
Yeah.
that's like your classic hibiscus.
You had to go through them archives in your mind.
Yeah,
You
I
got
was
more
like-
than you think, man. You were like, I don't know. Yes, I do. I was like, there you go.
Well, because I mean, it's like flowers are not a part of my daily life. Obviously,
True.
I know what bluebonnets look like. I know what roses look like. I know what daffodils and sunflowers look like. But then it's like you start getting a little exotic, talking about some hibiscus. You know?
Have you ever seen a passion fruit flower?
What?
No.
Excuse me?
Bro, Pull up,
That
pull
sounds
it
like a
up
Frank
on,
Ocean
pull it up.
song. Passion fruit flower.
Bro, pull it up real quick. It looks like an alien flower, bro.
Lotus flower bomb. All right, let me see.
It looks wild. They have them. There's actually they sprout. They sprout. No, they bloom at the arboretum. I think during the springtime. They look wild. Pull. Yeah, yeah. Look at,
Whoa.
yeah. They looks wild. They
This
have
is
these
like
here in
some
Houston,
Avatar.
and it produces a fruit, passion fruit. So there's different kinds. That's one, and there's a whole bunch of different.
Dude, it looks like
looking
an
species.
anemone.
It looks wild, right?
The color is ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's all different. There's pink ones, purple, red. There's all different colors.
Wow.
They look wild.
And the same thing goes for fruit, man. There's
Yeah.
so many fruits that don't even look like they should occur in this solar system. You know, they're like so insane. Like you crack open a pomegranate.
How would
it's
you? That was what I was
beautiful,
thinking.
You know,
Yeah.
a pomegranate or like dragon fruit.
Hmm.
Dragon fruit looks insane.
Which is delicious, by the way. If anyone's ever,
It is.
if you've
It's
never tried
such
a dragon
a unique
fruit.
flavor.
Yeah.
I don't even know really how to describe it, except for that it tastes like dragon fruit.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a melon almost kind of
Yeah.
flavor, but
What do you think is the craziest looking fruit out there?
star fruit looks wild.
Starfruit looks insane.
Oh, jackfruit, which is one of the heaviest
Jackfruit.
fruits to ever
I mean, they're
exist on the
massive.
planet. They can get up to 100-something pounds.
And people
Insane.
use it for like you can make like a vegan substitute version of pulled pork with
Yeah.
because of like the consistency.
Yeah, the
of
consistency
it. It's
is
very weird.
very much meaty.
Yeah.
It's very much like a meat.
Yeah. And then you get stuff like these weird hybrid fruits. Like I don't know if you've ever seen kiwi berries.
Mm, I
They
don't think
almost look
so.
like grapes, you know, but like it's like imagine a kiwi and a berry mix. It's like a very small little kiwi.
Where'd you see
cut
that
into
at?
It. You can get one at the grocery store right now.
Yeah.
You can
No
get-
way.
Yes, yes,
What?
you can.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you can. You can go get a kiwi berry today.
But you have to go to like Central Market or something or
No,
Whole Foods.
No, a regular grocery store. Regular grocery store. They look just like grapes, man, but they're kiwis on the inside.
Oh, so that probably pass them up all the time thinking they're grapes.
Yeah, look at that.
What the heck? And you can just eat the whole thing, huh?
You just eat the whole thing, no
Nice.
skin,
I'm gonna have to
nothing.
look for those next
And
time.
it tastes just like a kiwi. It's like a bite-sized, unwrapped. You know, like the Starburst unwrapped, or like the bag of like unwrapped Kit Kats or
Mhm.
Reese's or whatever. Bam, that is Mother Nature's unwrapped kiwis.
Nature's candy.
Nature's candy. I love fruit. Fruit is amazing.
It is.
Fruit or vegetables? What's like? What do you think you consume more of?
Oh, definitely fruit.
Because you're
I eat-
vegetarian, so you're.
I'm not vegetarian. I do eat fish.
So
I
you're
eat some
pescatarian.
shellfish. Eh.
I know you're not eating a pork chop. So
I will tell you what
Close enough.
I can tell you what I
Pescatarian.
don't eat. I can tell you what I don't
what
eat, which
don't
is
you eat?
chicken, pork, beef.
so meat.
No, fish is meat.
He's
I do eat fi-
pescatarian, mainly vegetarian.
But so I don't eat fish often. I do sometimes when when it's there, if I'm feeling like it. But
Right.
mainly I try to eat whole food, plant-based diet is what I say.
How long
But-
have you been doing that?
It's at least 5 years now.
And you, at this point, you don't even crave a steak. Like you never even think about.
No, I don't crave steaks.
You don't ever think about like a pepperoni pizza or.
No, it doesn't hit. Well, so like you have to understand, your body evolves really easily and pretty quickly. Especially same reason why you have to change your workout routine sometimes or
Right.
things like that, where your body will adapt quickly and it'll understand. Oh, well, we're not having this anymore, so
Right.
your cravings are gone. Like it's just not there. And but what would you ask me? Oh, fruit. Okay, so bro, I eat in the morning. I eat at least like 3 or 4 different kinds of fruit. Like I'll eat an apple, banana, whatever I have, berries, blueberries or something. And that's basically my breakfast. I love just eating just a big bowl of fruit. I'll make a big fruit
Yeah.
smoothie or something, or just whole fruits. I eat a ton of fruit like all the time. That's all I do.
I know, like on a couple episodes ago, I joked about, I eat bacon and sausage like every morning. I really, honestly, I've gotten into eating a lot more fruit in the morning.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
It really is good. Honestly, like it's impossible to have a bad day if you just start it with a mass quantity of fruit.
Yeah.
It like, for some weird reason, it like perks me up. Like I get like an energy boost
Oh,
out
yeah,
of eating
for
citrus
sure.
fruit. Like if I start my day and I eat like a tangerine or something like that, like just as I'm going out the door, if I eat like a cutie or something like that,
Mhm.
I'm like gassed up, man. I'm like, let's go get it. Let's,
Bro,
you
how,
know.
how I think about it is like when you wake up in the morning to eat breakfast, you're breaking your fast
Breaking your
from
fast, yeah.
from the nighttime. And the best thing to do, especially if you ever do a water fast or if you look up any kind of fasting, how you usually break like a 1 or 2 day fast or however
Right.
long is usually with
You
something
gradually
high
work
water.
fruit. Yeah,
Something with a high water content, and mainly every fruit and vegetable has a high water content.
Right.
It's mainly 80-90% water.
Right.
And so fruit is amazing for in the morning, so because it gets your body going. Like if you consume something with a lot of water, it just helps with your digestive system, and it helps to just get your body
Right.
moving and flowing easier.
So mainly what you're saying is you should not wake up and eat an entire spicy breakfast sausage followed by like a bagel and
you can eat
cream
whatever you
cheese.
want, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
but I mean, it's up. So
Yeah.
here's the biggest thing. When you eat something, sit for 5-10 minutes afterwards. Just see how you feel. How am I feeling? Am I feeling a little groggy? Am I feeling tired? Am I feeling energetic? Just see how you're feeling, and then you can notice, oh, my body likes this kind of food. It doesn't really like this kind of food.
Right.
And then you can just tailor it to what makes you feel
Yeah.
good. That's how I look at it.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do the juice cleanse or the fasting though.
You could.
Like I've seen you do like a water fast,
do it.
and you do it so casually. I'm like, hey Adam, I'm about to cut up some of this, whatever. Do you want some? You're like, no man, I'm doing water fast today. It's like nothing for you. You're like, I'm doing water fast, dude. If I did a water fast, it would break me. I would shit, man. I would be like a wreck by about 4 p.m. I would just be like, I gotta eat something. I don't know how you do it. Maybe if it was a juice cleanse or a juice, like a purely juice diet for a few days, maybe I could do that. But just water, I feel like I'd be a wreck.
I don't think I've ever
mentally.
done a water fast longer than 2 days.
Okay.
But I do know from experience hearing people like when you get to like, because I know people have done a week water fast or juice fast, and like when you get to like in the later stages, like 5-6 days, typically after the first day, you completely lose like your any sense of hunger. Like you don't feel hungry at all. You don't even want to eat once you get past like the 24-hour mark.
Now, is that
So
just your brain?
Yeah.
Like as a survival technique, it turns off the
Yeah.
hunger to. Okay.
It's definitely your body knows what to do, and it kicks in. All of these things start to happen and shift in your body. It starts to break down all of these anything that's bad or waste in your body. That's going first, right? And so then it begins to build on what's good, whatever's left in there. And so it's not like your body's not really like eating. Like when you think about like you're starving or your body's eating away your muscle and all this stuff, like yeah, a little bit. But what's really happening is actually really amazing. Like your body's rebuilding itself and like basically becoming just better and like working. And it's like, have you ever heard of like adaptogenic drugs, like or adaptogenic like medicine?
I've heard the term, but I'm not.
So
too
like
familiar.
basically what it's doing is like it knows like whenever you consume this whatever it is, like a mushroom or something that's an adaptogenic mushroom, like your body knows what nutrients to pull from it, and or vice versa. That mushroom knows like, okay, doesn't need this, needs this. Where can it be best used at? It's like your body's intelligent, man, and it knows what to do when you go. And if you also think about like we're actually born to fast for long periods of time, because evolutionary speaking, we would go days, hunter-gatherers or gather-hunters, however you want to look at it. You would go naturally days or a day without eating.
Right.
And your body knew what to do. It evolved doing that. So even today, we still have that in us. Like whatever those genes and cells are, it knows, oh, no food? Oh, perfectly fine. Kick on this, kick on that,
Right.
and you're good. And there's actually a lot of studies proving that you can live longer and basically just have more longevity in your life through fasting. People who fast typically live longer and are just overall more healthy. So it's pretty fascinating stuff. And a lot of people don't know about it, so yeah.
I would be down to try it. I feel like I would just be like, I don't know. I've always been really skinny, and I like don't want to lose any more weight. And I feel like I would do a water fast.
No,
or,
don't
like,
worry
a
about
juice
weight
cleanse,
loss, dude.
And I would watch my weight go down, and I'd be like, what have I fucking done?
No,
I've
you're
lost
only
too much
losing
weight.
you're only losing water weight. So we fluctuate
Right.
at least 5 pounds every day of water weight. And people don't know that. They get on the scale, oh crap, I'm 5 pounds heavier. It could just be water weight, like easily. You know what I mean? So don't worry about it. You'll gain your weight back like nothing. Especially if you do a 1 or 2 day.
Yeah.
If you're doing a month, okay. But people do. People have done year-long
You
water
just
fasts.
come out of it looking like Christian Bale in the
Machine.
machine.
Yeah.
You're just like,
For real.
So now, Jordan, you are like an avid. Your second love next to photography, or up there with photography, is cardio and running and all that. But I've seen you eat like a madman. Like you'll just like you're constantly whipping up homemade ice cream, or you're just like crushing Cinnabons.
Homemade ice cream.
How different do you think? Do you think that is affecting your fitness level at all, or are you just like running so much that it doesn't even matter what you eat at this point?
Well,
You've entered the Speed Force, and now you're just like you can consume whatever you'd like. It just phases through your body.
I think in regards to what Adam is saying, it's just a thing where his first point when he was talking about like certain things that your body doesn't eat anymore. I'd probably go like 5 to 7 weeks before eating a burger. A lot of times, I don't drink beer or alcohol. I don't eat red meat for the most part. The only thing I really eat is just chicken and salmon.
I mean,
and
you're
just, like,
constantly
white
eating
meat.
a lot of like. You don't really eat red meat.
No.
But you do eat. You eat like a lot of grains and broccoli and like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So it's just like
But
when
you just
y'all are-
love them desserts. Like that's
I
your
do.
crux.
So
is the desserts.
that's my Achilles heel, like the sugar for sure. But I mean, like I could probably do better with the fruits. But I mean, I like raspberries and blueberries a lot. But I definitely eat a lot more vegetables. Like broccoli, I have broccoli almost every day. Broccoli and carrots, I'll snack on carrots throughout the day. I always have broccoli and carrots. Or it's just like if I have a sandwich, I always just load it up with lettuce and just like chicken and cheese and stuff.
Right.
So it's just like those are like my main vegetables. But I really do like vegetables a lot. Like cauliflower is really good too. Potatoes are amazing. I just love vegetables the most. And it's just a thing where I think I consume a lot. And sometimes my body is like Adam said, like your body adapts. Like when I started running back in like late 2013, early 14, I'm like I started to notice that I would get hungrier. It's just like because I think I exercise and I lift a good amount. I run more than I lift, but I just lift to make sure that I stay like keep the muscles strong and engaged. But I think it's really a thing where it's just like my body wants the energy. Like there are times where I'll just run enough. If I'm feeling real good, I'll do like 8 miles a day. But it's just I look at the calorie burn. It's just like in addition to like my regular caloric burn, it's just like I'll burn like 3,200 calories in a day. So it's like, well, fuck.
That is
I'm hungry. Like,
preposterous.
so I have to eat like, and if it's whether it's like a lot of times I'll start with like healthy stuff. I'll do like a rice bowl with like some chicken and like a sauce or whatever, and then just like a ton of like broccoli.
Right.
And I'll crush that, and then I'll maybe eat some carrots afterward, and then like I do have like problems with like sweets sometimes where it's just like all right. Cinnamon, so it's like I'm doing better. I try not to eat as much sweet stuff when I was like in high school and shit.
Did you run in high school? Did you run on the track?
I hated high school like cardio. Like remember how they would make us wear the cardio bands?
Yeah, so
like,
I don't know what PE was like at your high school, but we had to, and maybe this is everywhere. I don't know. I only went to one high school, but we had to actually wear like heart rate monitors, which would pair to a watch.
No, my school was not that nice.
So
Coach Bailey said
no,
you
I
did
mean
this shit.
our school wasn't even that nice. It was just like we had a PE teacher who like lived and died by fitness. I mean, she was like, she had a conviction for fit. I think I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. I think she might have gotten fired for like selling carrots and hummus out of her office or something. Like
So, maybe.
Yeah, or she got like reprimanded. They like made her stop or something. But she
like
was
these kids need to be eating the government food.
So they need their square pizza. So anyway, like we went to this school. It was an academic magnet.
Yeah.
We didn't have any formal sports teams. It was all about
in
college
high school.
prep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jordan and I went to the same high school.
Okay.
Anyway, so we basically had teachers that were allowed to completely draft their own programs and curriculums, and this extended all the way even into PE.
That's pretty cool.
So this is how we got our grade in PE, and it's kind of cool to know that no other school did this because I think more schools should adopt it. So you got 3 grades. You had tests every once in a while about like muscle groups and shit like that, but then you had a cardio grade and a workout plan grade. So at the start of the semester, you'd come into PE, you would draft a workout plan. You would decide a 2-day plan or a 3-day plan. You would write out what muscles you were going to exercise. Then you would list the exercise you were going to do for them. And then every day, whenever you would come into class, you would chart down your reps, how many sets you did, and what weight you did them at. Then, so that was your weight grade, and that would be evaluated by the teacher. Then, so you had to make your own workout plan. Then cardio, you had to wear a heart rate monitor to a watch that would upload to the teacher's computer. They would track your heart rate, and you had to you would have to keep your heart rate above 140 for like it would extend. It would like the first couple weeks of the semester it'd be 25 minutes. You had to have your heart rate over 140. Then a couple weeks later it would go up to 30, 35, and by the end of the semester you had to have like your heart rate above 140 for 45 minutes, coupled with your test grades, coupled with your lifting and workout plan regimen. And then we got this like $85,000 grant from the government to furnish the gym with all new like sports equipment and cardio machines and weightlifting machines and stuff like that. So I mean, we had like this world-class PE program, and I'm kind of actually curious now what a regular PE class is like. Is it just like, all right, y'all get out there and shoot hoops for an hour and then go to math? Like what were you guys doing in PE?
It changed from elementary school. It was basic, just stretch and then go play dodgeball.
That was everyone's.
Yeah, and then
just peg kids in the face with.
so high school I didn't do PE at all. I didn't have a
you were on
PE
the
class.
basketball team, so that
well,
was.
I did football, track, basketball, but mainly all of high school. The first 2 years I did track, and then my last 2 years I did only basketball. I literally was just dedicated to basketball. But track was fun. I asked you about track because I wanted to know what your mile time was. I was just curious. What was your fastest mile time?
Fastest mile time when we have like, I think it was during we have like corporate relays where like different companies meet up, and I'm on the relay team. I think my fastest was like 5:11.
Nice, damn,
So,
that's good.
Damn, his mile time is my height. That is ridiculous.
That's really good.
5:11.
It's cool because like mile time is a good way to measure, like a really good way to measure like your cardio and like where you're at.
True.
I think. Yeah, you think?
Yeah, I think for me, like, and we can talk about it, it's just like, I think the events I like the most, because I've run 5Ks, 10Ks, and I've done like one half marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have like race events where it's just like, just haul ass. I like the race events because I get to be with the team and it's like competitive. I get to push myself. 5Ks are cool, but it's still like you have to basically haul ass still.
Mm-hmm.
But I think 10K is the best because I think I get like, I always hit like my runner's high around like 2 to maybe 4, like 2 to 4 miles is when I get the high.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I'm in like the 3.5 mile mark, I'm like, oh, I feel good. And then I'm just like,
Bro, it's crazy.
like I don't change. Like my pace like locks in for the most part, unless when I see the finish line, obviously I speed up, but I'm like, that's my favorite event. So
runner's high is real.
It is.
It's a real thing.
It feels good.
It's
bro.
It's like
wild.
just being in the zone, essentially. You just
Pretty
locked in,
much. Like I just start thinking about shit like during the day.
Right.
Like I'm just like, how did this go? I like how this went.
You
And
don't
I'm not
even like
feeling
really
it.
realize that you're running.
Not really.
It's just like the running's on autopilot.
Yeah.
Your brain
Kinda.
can just do whatever. Whereas like if I could even touch 3 miles, I would be like having an existential crisis.
Yeah.
I got to run more, which is like when I was in Big Bend, I was doing a lot of hiking. Like every day we were knocking out multiple 2-mile plus hikes. And I realized like, if you switch it up and what's happening with my,
I'm trying to see. Keep talking.
my mic I feel like my bike's been going weird multiple
Same.
times during this episode.
I don't know. Just keep going.
All right.
Don't worry.
I was just going to say like if you, like running doesn't work for me. I don't know what it is about running, but it just doesn't do it for me. What's wrong?
I got you. Just keep going.
You figured out what was wrong?
Yeah.
I hope this whole episode isn't garbage, man, because we're like an hour in.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, so yeah, for me, it's just like I need to engage my mind doing cardio, doing something else. I think hiking might be it, man, or like just going to landscapes where, like I know for a fact I could never just run on the treadmill for 3 miles. I'd lose my mind. I need like to either run around like a nice body of water or get on a bike or just like ball out and play basketball or something. But I just can't run like you. I see you post pictures on Instagram of like pictures of the treadmill after you've crushed like 5 or 6 miles or whatever, and I'm just like, I just couldn't stand there and run on the track. I'll run on that treadmill just over and over. But like if I'm out like in Big Bend, hiking the window or hiking through a canyon or whatever, I'm all about it. I could do that all day.
Walking is probably the single best thing anyone can do for any type of physical activity.
I fully agree with that.
Just walking,
Just straight
regular
up
pace walking.
Walk around your neighborhood, walk around your block, just walk.
Yeah.
And it's probably the single best thing you could do physical activity.
Just like walk for an hour.
Yeah.
Like the running
Shit, I'm just gonna start telling people I'm going for a walk.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Honestly, that's
for real.
good though,
Yeah.
because it's just like I think that like doing that with my mom is like one of my favorite things when I'm at home. It's just my dad's a cyclist, but me and my mom like when I'm at home, I just walk with her because like although I love running, there's a lot of maintenance that comes with it too. And you saw it, like I was basically on injured reserve. Basically, I had like this whole outside tendon problem with like my IT bands. It's just like,
Bro, I would love to talk to you after this
Dude,
about
man.
because I know like being like yoga background and I see runners and walkers who always have really tight hips or knee or ankle problems, and I can show you some really cool stuff that
I'm
gets
down,
you
dude. Honestly, I'm down.
get you right.
Because my dad was like, I was wondering what was happening because like I've dealt with like certain things when I was in like my last year of college and I was putting up good times. I started to have like tightness in like my lower calves and Achilles, and like, dude, it got to a point to where I could only run like 4/5 of a mile or something. I was like, okay, I can't what is it? And then sure enough, got some equipment from my parents, and it was just like massaging the calves and just working that pressure out of like my calves and my heels. It's like, okay, that's good. That was the problem. So I just changed, like Adam said, your body adapts. I looked into it, the mechanics of running, changing from like a heel strike running form to like midfoot running. That's like it strengthened my calves because it doesn't put pressure on my heels, which creeps up.
That's why I wear these.
There you go. I was about to say
That's
you
like as close to being barefoot as you can without being in like Vibram 5 fingers or whatever. Yeah.
And
Pretty much.
that's the one thing I noticed the most was the striking of my heel, walking, and I think that's probably one of the number one reasons why people get injured, especially running. With the shoes that we have now, they're so comfortable that you don't realize that you're striking your heel.
Pretty much.
And when I was walking in these, I realized how just striking the heel is like, that's not how we're supposed to be walking. That's not how humans are supposed to walk.
Right.
Like, so I really started noticing, even today, I'm still changing the way I walk. Like, it's crazy until you you just have to be aware of it, you know?
Pretty much. And then once you get used to it, your body is just like, doesn't want to do anything else. And it's strengthened my calves and like in terms of definition and just strength, and distance was better too. And it's just like everything improved, and it was just okay, cool. Like, but with running, it's like that's just one example. In addition, like the IT band thing, like got to work on your quads, got to work on your hamstrings. Don't overstress them. Got to like make sure your calves are good. It's just a lot of things you got to like take care of.
Right.
But I love doing it, and it's just Adam made a good point about the shoes. Like there's certain times where it's like Nike is what I run with usually, but it takes me a while to find a pair of shoes I really like, because sometimes I feel like they're almost can't like pandering to people to like run on your heel because they load the cushion on the backside.
Right.
I'm like, it's not
I
really
see
what I
running
want.
shoes all the time, and I see that like the cushion on the back part of the shoe, and it just doesn't seem like that's where it should be. It doesn't seem like that's how.
Not all the time.
Yeah.
So it's just like when you actually look into like other running brands that are like completely focused on, like I think Mizuno or maybe Asics, it's just like you see how they're shaped, and then like Nike actually does have some good running shoes, but you have to look for them a little bit more. Like they're focused and like basically curving to the outside crest of your foot, and I'm like, that's that shit. That's what I need. So
Yeah, I saw there's like this ad that I keep getting before YouTube videos, and this guy, and he's like, you should be wearing uncomfortable shoes, and he's just like talking about how like the way shoes have kind of evolved, it's actually like a hindrance to the way you walk, and it like stems all the way up into like fucking your posture up, fucking up your feet, fucking up your legs. It's really crazy. And it's like on top of everything I'm already stressed about in life, I'm probably fucking walking wrong too. Like god damn.
For sure, bro. The one thing that I realized a while ago was that we're too comfortable. We sit in chairs, we sit on couches.
The entirety of the human experience is now tailored to how fucking comfortable can you be.
Yes.
Can you eat laying down? Can you go to the movie theater, watch this movie laying down? Now there's movie theaters where
I pick, dude.
no one's going to the movies anymore. But like
you're
you go to
fucking
the movie,
reclined,
you're
bro.
reclined, okay? And then there's a table that swivels from the armrest, so it just hovers above your chest.
Hell yeah.
So it's like we're gonna end up like fucking Wall-E.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be in the chair, just like driving around on your chair, drinking every meal out of a cup because chewing expends too much energy.
I kind of think we're there. Like we see, like, weren't we the most obese first world nation in the world with like 30-something% of our population?
Probably. I want to see this obese third world nation. Who, like, what?
I don't know. It's just like I look at the statistics for America,
Yeah.
and it's just like it goes back to what Adam was saying. It's just
Whatever
like,
it is, it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad, and it's just like what Adam was saying in regards to how your body is used to doing things. Like we could all be healthy, but we just like, I want to try the sushi spot. Now I want to go get steaks. Now I want to go eat burgers. It's just like there's just so much shit that's available all the time. Just consume,
we've made the easy things the most convenient. So it comes down to convenience. And I was looking at like people who are trying to change city layouts and like redesigning, like how can you redesign a society and a culture to live more healthy? And it's all about what's convenient.
Right.
If going to get a smoothie or a healthy meal, if that is
he's speaking facts.
if that's inconvenient to you, you're not going to do it.
not
Oh
gonna
hell yeah! If it's expensive too, yeah.
Yeah, if it's expensive, and same with which is how even just sitting down on a couch is damaging to you. Like it really is. Like you don't think about it. I mean, it's comfortable as fucking everyone loves it.
The couches are
You know what I
Sleep
mean?
on the
But it's
couch,
like,
man.
but what is it doing to your posture? What is it doing to your core strength? What is it doing to your? It's so it goes deep, and then even just your posture is directly related to your mood.
Right.
So sitting crunched, if you're crouched all the time, you're more likely going to be depressed. You're more likely going to be in a bad mood versus chest out, more open, shoulders back. That's going to be automatically get you in a better mood just because of the chemical response that's going on in your body. So there's simple things like that we just don't think about on a daily basis.
Yeah,
and
you
our
have
whole
to-
culture is built around it.
You have to like actively
You know?
try and think about it. You
Yeah.
have to like, because like you're not even really like present.
Like unhunch your
the sense-
shoulders.
Right. It's like I'll be sitting there and I'm like, man, why does my back hurt? You know?
Yeah.
And then I realize because I'm sitting like a fucking question mark. You know, like I look like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love my favorite thing now is like on Instagram, you'll just be like scrolling and every once in a while someone like a meme page will post like unarch your fucking back right now. You know, like people are
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
becoming more hip to the fact
For
that like
sure.
we've gotten so comfortable. It's insane. You know, like just standing. You should just be standing a good deal of the day. Like maybe just watch TV standing up for a while. If you're going to watch TV, get off the couch because couches are like inherently designed to foster horrible posture. I mean, the cushions are huge.
Dude,
you evaluate a
yeah.
good couch on whether or not you fucking sink into it. Like,
Honestly.
you know, it's just like ridiculous.
Same with the car seats, man. I find it hard to sit up straight in my car seat. Like,
yeah.
You're supposed
because
to. You're
it
reclining.
dips
so-
back into it. I'm like, I'm sure there are some car
Right.
seats that are better, but the one I have is like garbage. But
Here, I have unsolicited advice about
Yeah.
that. Okay, this is what you do. If you find yourself unable to fucking sit properly in your car, I've tailored all the mirrors in my car, my rear view mirror and my two side mirrors. You cannot see out of the mirrors unless you're fucking sitting properly. I've set it to where like if you're slouching, you're looking at like the roof of
Oh,
the
yeah,
car out
that's
of the. You got to set your mirrors to where you cannot drive effectively unless you're sitting properly. And so
That's
then I
cool.
find myself slouching while I'm driving,
Yeah.
but I go to change lanes and I'm like, fuck, I can't see. I must not be sitting
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
and
that's
then
a good idea.
that's your unsolicited
see,
advice
and
for the day.
that's making it convenient or making it inconvenient to
Right.
slouch, right? So that's a beautiful thing. And for me, I do the same thing. Like anytime I'm watching TV or a show, I'll like kind of do intervals, sit for a little bit, and then I'll just go like sit like in a certain posture, some kind of stretching or
Right.
like wide-legged forward fold or something like that, where I'm just like doing some type of stretch. And there's so many
Right.
things you can just do just sitting on the floor, and even squat pose. Squat pose is probably I love the squat pose because that's we talk about like evolution. Like that's okay. What were people doing in a cave with no chairs? You're sitting in a squat because it's the most comfortable, easy position to access without standing up, and you can take a load off. Like it's sitting in a squat pose. So that's just another one of mine.
And they were all jacked. You know, like
Bro, I watched this where people like take out camera crew or something out into the Amazon and like get contact with like these Amazon tribes. Bro, I swear to God, these people came out of the bush ripped,
Yeah.
jacked.
Dude,
like,
their
not-
calves look like melons.
Because that's how
It's
humans are all
insane.
supposed to look. That is like inherently a human form. We don't even look like fucking humans anymore. They
Yeah.
look like humans. We
bro,
don't.
and their feet are like splayed
They're
out.
splayed
their
out.
toes are like this, and then
Yeah.
like all of their postures were perfect. They all like
Shoulders
perfect.
back, chest out.
Like if you look like a diagram of a man, like that's what they looked like. They
Right.
had
like Da Vinci's.
they weren't
fucking
like bulk or anything. They were just like toned, just look
very defined, but
nice
very
and
low
strong,
body
bro.
fat.
It was insane to see. I was
Right.
like, what? These guys don't have a gym in their backyard. They don't have a, you know what I mean? They're not going swimming, biking, or nothing like that. They're freaking
just living,
They're
yeah.
just living out in nature how they're intended to, and
They're not
naturally
sitting in
have a
insane
healthy
chairs,
body.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
That's an interesting aspect where it's like
Yeah.
living in nature, but it's like inherently, I guess that's one thing that's always been interesting when people sometimes talk about humanity, where it's like, oh, we exist outside. I'm like, we're part of nature. I'm like, I guess we always, because like the reason we have all this stuff that we do now is just we were just searching to improve. We were like, how do we make life better?
Right.
It was just like, how do we improve? Continuous improvement is like one aspect of like my job, to where it's just like, how do we make something faster, leaner, quicker, more convenient? But I think we're kind of like, and we're still improving, but now we're kind of getting to like, it's kind of similar to smartphones, or at least right now, unless we have some other jump in smartphones, where it's like, there was this crazy curve, and it's just like everything took off on like an exponential curve.
Right.
And that started probably with like the Industrial Revolution. But now I feel like we're seeing maybe returns that aren't as great. It's like starting to hit like the principle of diminishing returns. It's just like, how much better can we make this shit? Like,
I think we've maxed out.
And
I
then
feel like we're getting close to maxing out, unless there's some major breakthrough. So
Or if we go further, it will start inversely, like
I
making
think
shit
that's
worse.
What,
Yeah.
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like what
Yeah.
Adam's saying, like people are just eating too much. We're not healthy.
Right.
Well,
and slouching and
like
shit.
it becomes like, okay, yes, we're intelligent and we're super smart creatures. And that's why we have this life we have with everything that we've been blessed with. But like, is that? I mean, yes, it's smart to do it and to be comfortable, but is it helping us or is it hurting us? It's a question that we should ask, right? Like, is this convenience? Is this life like really good for us? And that's what a lot of people say the reason why the Roman Empire fell was because they got too comfortable. They were this warring people, like just dominant, ruthless, like hard, like, you know, seasoned people.
Yeah.
And then they just became comfortable.
They all started eating bread all day and just like going to shows, and they were just like having these wild parties and shit. Yeah.
And they said they became just soft. And for real, like, and that's kind of, some people say that's the reason the Roman Empire declined the way it did.
Is that when they had like the vomitoriums? Like you could just go to a party and just like eat until you like fucking threw up and then go back and eat more, and like that's how they were living. There was like literally they would, and I don't know if this was like the like golden Roman era or if this was another place in time, but they used to like just have these wild parties, and there was a room you could just go into after you were like full. You could just go throw up. That way you can go back and eat more. We're gonna full circle back to that. I bet.
Time is a flat circle.
We're gonna get to like where there's a room in the back of Mickey D's, and after your fourth Big Mac, you can just like, all right, I'm back in the fight. You know.
First of all, if you're in McDonald's going crazy, man, dude.
I mean, people go crazy in McDonald's. I mean, it's like, so you already have fast food, which is already like ridiculously convenient. You go in, you order something, they give it to you. Then you have the drive-through, where you don't even have to get out of your vehicle. You just like drive up to the window, you pay through the window, they give you your food through the window. Now you can order your food online, so you don't even have to wait to like give your order. You just like place your order, you click on a screen, you don't even interact with a human. It's already paid for. You just drive by, grab it, you keep going. Then you eat it in your car on your way to whatever the next thing you're doing is, where you speed through that somehow. And it's like we're speeding through everything, and for what? What are we even using the extra time for?
We need more
nonsense.
We need to do more. Just more of what?
More
I don't know.
efficiency.
More. Just
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
so stupid. It's like we're trying to operate so efficiently, but at the same time, it's so inefficient that it's so stupid. Like I just don't understand what we've even become. I mean, it's not as bad. It's not as bad in other countries. Like you know, places like in Europe, dinner just takes 2 hours, and you sit down at a table and you just like have a conversation for 2 hours. Where is here
the
it's like,
American experience is like we need to do shit more, like, more efficiently. Like,
things
all
come
the
in
time.
like containers that help you eat it in your car, like In-N-Out Burger.
Like, fam.
Oh, will you be eating in your car? And they give it to you in a box.
Like, what's the rush? And like,
It's like, fam, like not even to like a tray table where you can like go park and eat it. They give you a box so you can just like cruise down the freeway and feed your face.
So what do y'all think about globalization? Like how that's affecting,
In what sense? Like,
broad question. I like it though. I'm with Tom.
just in general, like, so just the fact that, well, now in this time and age, like there's not as many people below the poverty line. Now we've reached this point where there's more people living above that poverty line than there's ever been before because of globalization, obviously internet, and just bringing, you know, what we have in first world countries to third world countries and things like that, and bringing new technologies, innovations, and things, and being able to let those people have the opportunity to participate in what's going on globally. You know what I mean?
right.
And people argue it's good. Some people argue it's bad. And I was just curious what y'all thought.
I think it's good for the most part. I think just having more people being able to like give their opinions is good, but it does come with trade-offs, of course. Like I think Twitter is the perfect microcosm. And really, social media is just like, I had a great conversation with my mom about it, to where it's just like technology has advanced so much and so quickly that it's just like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and like all these different like platforms where, like you mentioned, like globalization can take hold and people can see what's going on in different parts of the world that they might not ever be able to see. That's great.
Yeah.
Being able to see different cultures, different ideologies, different types of food, all these different things that you're just like, wow, I never knew about that. This is great. I want to learn about it. I want to contribute to it. I want to be a part of it. But there's also things where it's just like, we just share too much. It's just like, sometimes I don't think, me and Tommy talk about it all the time, it's just like, we can't interpret all this shit.
Right.
There's just always a hot take. There's always someone saying, and that's why I like talking with y'all, we're just taking our time through conversation. But it's just like, my brother laughs at it, and he's like me, like he doesn't take anything seriously, but just like First Take, for example, like on ESPN, it's just like, they get paid to say wild, stupid shit.
Right.
And that's like
they probably don't even believe it. They're
They
like,
don't.
we
They
have to
don't.
disagree. So what wild shit can I
But
say
it's
to
like,
make
but
this
people
interesting?
want hot takes. So seeing something where it's like an opinion on everything all the time, it's just like I'm like, dog, I can't keep up. Like I see so many things, and it's like, I need to learn more about it. But it's almost like if you don't have the answers, and especially in America, if you can't do something quick or you don't give a response quick, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's almost like people call us old souls. But I'm like, really, is it?
How about
I
just
feel like we just
normal
take our
souls?
fucking time. I was about to say, we
Yeah.
just take our time and try and give coherent, cohesive answers. Like, I feel like if someone asks us something and we don't know the answer, I feel like all of us will respond like, I don't have all the info. Let me get back to you. But it's almost the thing where it's like, well, if you can't answer now, what the fuck? Like,
Right.
relax.
Well, people don't want to be wrong.
that's
But
an elite point right there.
like another part of the globalization that I was thinking about was like bringing in like corporate, like when you have small towns, small villages, smaller communities, like I feel like I think they're a lot better off than we are in terms of community, in terms of, if you can define happiness. I think they're a little more happy. They're not living fast-paced lives. They're not caught up in the world that we've created yet. But I think in time, they don't have a choice. It's going to happen. Like, it's this wave just taking over the world of, you don't have a choice. I mean, you're going to have internet. You're going to have all the things. I mean, freaking Elon Musk is shooting up satellites to give the world internet and stuff. So it's like, we don't really have a choice now. So I feel like these smaller places, and you look at like the blue zones, and I don't know if you know about blue zones and stuff like that, like Dan Buettner's work for like studying these small places throughout the world. There's like I think 7 or 11 of them. Like there's one in Okinawa, Japan. There's one in like the Seventh Adventists in California. Like these people who are living in smaller groups, and they seem like they got it. Like they're all living above 100 years old on average, more than anywhere else in the world. And they're just, there's all these, like the list of these things that they're like really good at. And, like,
And they've like figured it out.
they figured it out. Like it's not on purpose. It's just naturally, the way they've naturally chose to live is just a healthier way for them. They've just like, well, we're living long, healthy, happy lives. Like we feel great. We don't need all of these extra things. And it's just crazy watching, like in this time period now more than ever, it's like things are speeding up so fast, and like the entire world is slowly going to turn into like what we're experiencing now. It's like, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like people should have the choice to live like that or not.
And
but it seems like we don't, because it's kind of just out of control at this point. You know,
I'm
It's
with you. I think it's like the choice is more about like how engaged you need to be. Like, because it's almost like weird. Like, if you don't have an Instagram for someone to vet you, it's like, girl, he don't have an Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't have social media, but for some reason that makes you a weirdo now. I'm like,
That's so crazy.
dog,
man.
like, man, like, okay, I don't want to put all of my info out on the world all the time. Or like, if your account is private, it's like, what you got to hide? Like, nothing. But I'm just like, I don't know, like, just relax. I don't know. So I'm with you. I think one interesting aspect when you mentioned like the smaller community, sometimes it is a thing where like the kids that grow up, they're like, I want to see the bigger world and I want to bring that back. Or it's just like, we want like job opportunities here. So sometimes it is a thing where it's like they want that.
Sure.
But I think there has to be a balance, like you said. It's just like community is lost a lot now. In a time where it's easier to connect than ever, I feel like just stuff like this, like interaction with like brothers, basically, it's just like I don't think people have this as much.
Right.
By
I'm
the way,
like-
you're our first guest in the studio, which is really cool. So we're not talking to a screen, we're actually talking to a
Also
human
true.
being.
Yeah,
we can
it's
That's
just
pretty
like-
awesome.
breathe the same air.
Yeah, because there's stuff where that's true. It's just like stuff where it's like, do you have interactions? Because it's just like, yes, you can talk to people through like virtual, like basically channels, but mannerisms, body language, like your tone, all of that is picked up even more in person.
Right.
I don't know. I'm with you, man. I'm just like, I wish that like people weren't looked at like weirdos if they were like, look, I want to use the internet, but I don't want to like use it like for everything.
Right.
Like I don't need. I'm not putting Alexa in my home. I mean, I'm all for tech. I love cameras. I love like videography and everything that's associated with tech. But I'm like, I don't need you. Like I don't need Google. They already get all my data. I feel like in a good level. So I'm just like, why do I need them?
Right.
Like, hey, can you tell me the weather? No, I'll just take my phone out. I guess.
Right.
I don't know. It's
Yeah, I've kind of drawn like my own personal line in the sand between like where I want to go with technology. I have social media. I have all of them except for Twitter. I don't really see a need for me to have Twitter, even
that's
though
toxicity, baby.
people swear that Twitter is amazing. It's just not for me. I have an Instagram, but I hardly ever use it. I post once every like few months if I've gone and done something cool that I want my friends and family to see, like if I've gone to a new national park or if I've gone on a trip somewhere or whatever. Yeah, I have no intentions of ever getting a smart home device. I have no intentions of, digitally integrating anything. I don't want a car that drives itself. I've even thought about getting one of those phones, like the light phone or those phones that basically, have all of the like features that are necessary to modern human life.
Let's make that our next phone. I'm down. If you get it, I'll get it.
Yeah, because the thing is, it has. So for those of you that don't, actually, I'm gonna pull it up.
It's pretty badass.
Yeah.
It changes the way because it kind of puts you back a little bit, like in terms of where we are with technology. I mean, it's not the best phone or anything, but it's like.
Well, no, that's the whole point. So what I'm saying is, I kind of enjoy a simple life.
Yeah.
And people, they, like Jay said, they call you an old soul, but to me, it's kind of just like, I just think that's a normal pace life. I still like calling my friends on the phone, and FaceTime is great. Like, I'm not shitting on FaceTime. Like, I love, actually just having conversations with people. I'm saying, like, beyond texting, I enjoy actual, like, vocal interaction or just meeting up with people in person. I still call my grandma and just talk to her for like 2 hours. You know what I mean? Just reading a book instead of watching a TV show. And like, people shit on small towns all the time, but honestly, like, I could totally see myself winding up at a small town and just like raising my family there at some point in my life. None of these crazy interactions, great sense of community. You actually feel like you're connected to the humans around you.
You actually know your neighbor.
Yeah. So, all right, I've got this pulled up here. Let me just acknowledge that. So this is the light phone. Let's see, how do I scroll here?
This is our current sponsor.
No. So it almost looks like a device out of like Black Mirror, but it uses e-ink, which is, I guess, the same stuff that ebook readers like Kindle
which is
use.
Awesome, by the way.
Yeah. So
Looks
there's
really
like never
good.
any glare on the screen, and it has a really futuristic, simple look. It has a digital like contacts phone book, so even though it's not a smartphone, you still have your contacts. Obviously, like phones used to be, but you can store music on it. It has a very basic form of navigation, so you still have navigation and GPS on it. You can't download apps like Uber or Lyft or things like that. There's no apps, but it does have a way to hail you a taxi. You can text on it, so it's not like you're not really losing out any of the key features. Like, even though it is your phone, you're not really suffering in any way other than you're not constantly, dealing with apps. I mean, you are inconvenienced in some ways. You can't pull up your boarding pass on your phone. You're not going to be able to have your movie ticket on your phone. You're not going to be able to send cat gifts to your friends, like whatever. But I mean, you will be able to text. You will be able to talk. It does have internet for navigation.
Yeah.
You can store your music on it. It stores your contacts and things like that. And a lot of people, which is interesting, a lot of young people are opting to go for phones like this because I think some people are starting to realize that like this information overload and oversaturation in our lives from technology, it's almost like at a detriment to society.
Sure.
And one of the things that I kind of thought about was like when I was at Big Bend a couple of days ago in the national park, the majority of the people that I saw there, young people, like young people in our age group, a lot of couples, a lot of young families, and they were just getting out and doing stuff in the national park. And I think it was really refreshing to see people using their time to just like get out in nature, do a simple thing like going on a hike. So there's like a glimmer of hope for the future. We have some people that actually just value those things like that, and I hope that never goes away.
No, it won't.
But like the pandemic has made me realize like things like that, like going out in nature, or things like stripping yourself of social media, like, something that this phone could do for you. It's actually pretty important. And I've honestly kind of considered giving up my iPhone and getting one of these bare bones. I don't want to call it a dumb phone because it's not, it's like a semi-smartphone.
Yeah.
It's just like a life phone. It can do everything you need in life, and it doesn't come with all of the extra shit on top of you. I swear to God, they're not paying us. I know this sounds like one long ass commercial
really
for the
does
light
though,
phone,
bro.
but I mean,
It's
I've really
great.
been thinking about this for the past few weeks. you can use them on major networks, so it's not like you're losing cell reception. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think like these are an actual? Because there's it's not just the light phone. There's multiple phones like this.
For sure.
You could actually see yourself using a phone like this.
I like the idea too. If you still want to have the direct access to the internet or whatever it is, to have maybe like a small tablet or even an iPhone that you don't have data on or anything like, or not. You would still need data for internet, but
I mean you
like
could use Wi-Fi, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, so still having that on the side, if you ever need, for example, because everything is becoming so digital, man. Like, you go to restaurants, you have to have a freaking smartphone to look at the menu.
The menu. I mean, that might just be because of the pandemic, but
that's going to carry on. A
sure.
lot of the things are going to carry over into your everyday because it's going to make more sense. It's going to save money, whatever. You know what I mean? So I like the idea of having that as your everyday phone. And then anytime you want to pull up internet, if you're out on the go, have a backup internet phone that has like your whatever you want to get on social media, whatever you want. I like that idea. So yeah, I mean, totally.
I like it. I might not. So I probably won't do that. But I mean, like for me, I'm still in an iPhone 6s.
Right.
Like this is like a 5 or 6 year old phone or
Right.
something. I'm just like I don't feel like I need the new features.
Right.
Like and it's sometimes frustrating because like certain things that I would want to be able to use, it's like you got to update. And I'm like, no, I'm cool. I don't think I need all that. I'm with that. I'm just like optionality. I think is the main thing.
Right.
I feel like just having the option instead of feeling like, why don't you have an iPhone 12? Like,
how much does that phone cost, Tom?
I believe it's $250. If you want to cut back to it, I don't know what you're on right now.
Yeah, I see it.
You can see it right here. I mean, you can totally text. I mean, there's no emojis or any shit like that, but I mean, you can text. And it's like you don't have your email on it. Let's see how much.
So I can see this being a problem for people who work on their phone.
Yeah, like okay,
you know what
so
I mean?
like
You
Jordan
being able to
and both of us, like
send memes up and stuff,
we're constantly sending emails. Like we are young professionals, whatever the fuck you want to say. Like we are like on the go answering emails. Like you're either in an Uber or like replying to emails. So yeah, it could get to where maybe this is your primary phone, but if you know you're going to have a heavy workload that day, you take like your little bonus phone with you, your work phone with you, or something like that. Let me see if I can find the price here on this phone.
I think like that we're
$299. It's
Okay,
$299,
not bad, yeah.
and it comes in this cool black, or also what they call light gray,
it's
but
not
it
bad.
looks like white. It looks like something out of the television show Black Mirror.
Yeah, it does. It looks like what a future phone should look like, actually.
It's small, and it's small so that like when you're texting almost feels inconvenient. The keyboard is very small. You can text, but you're not going to want to sit there and like text all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not going to want to sit there and like just get lost in typing shit on your phone.
But I do think going back to like this fact that, or I mean, a lot of people are working on their phones, whether like influencers or people who are like directly connected to their businesses to social media. That's different. But I feel like for average workers who are like on the go, replying to emails and stuff like that, or taking work calls. I mean, it's cool. I get it. Like you can get more work done, but I feel like it's like now more than ever, your work is coming home with you.
oh shit.
Like you're coming home.
Let's
you're
have that
supposed to come
convo.
home.
Let's have that convo.
Yeah, you're supposed to come home. This is your home where you be with your family,
Work
relax.
is left at
and-
the door. Yeah.
But it's not like that anymore. Now
Work
more than
now comes into your house.
again because of that convenience factor. Oh, you have a phone with email. Why aren't you replying to the emails? Why aren't you doing this? Or hey, I need you to do this. Like, and then I think it's our fault too that we
obliged that shit.
We said okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Because I
like, no.
I can.
No,
So-
I'll do it when I get back. Like
Like
fine.
society has changed to where, that's just totally normal. Like, all right, yeah, you're off the clock, but I mean, I know you can still see these emails.
You
And
still
it's
see
just-
these emails though.
Work is literally coming into your home, and it's just a normal part of life.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you go back to like not even that far ago, like the 90s. You know what I mean? I mean,
Oh, sure.
people had cell phones then, but it wasn't very common. I mean, only very few people had them. You just came home, and it was like, well, if you want to reach me, call me on my landline. Like not everyone had a computer with the internet. It was just like you were just home. If something needed to get done, it got done in the morning.
Yeah, I've seen this directly influence my life, especially with COVID, and I feel like COVID has really brought this even stronger. Like it's become, you can't escape the fact like technology has just invaded our lives. Like you can't do anything without it. Like now, especially everyone's working from home,
Right.
and it's really impacted my life. Where like my wife works from home and trying to find a desk spot for her to be able to work, and then she's trying to work and I'm doing something. I'm in my home and I'm having to change my life, and same with her, change our lives. And it's crazy. Like, it's like, wow, like, what is happening? And it's just happened out of nowhere. It's just like, boom, everything's at home now.
Right.
And you're obligated to do it. And it's like, but I think I see a lot of value in people actually going out though to like coffee shops or finding like a workspace. That's actually really cool. And I think
I try and do that as often as I can.
Yeah, and that's a way you can actually link with your community. You can actually use that as an opportunity to, let me go see what my local library is or my local this,
Right.
and be able to link up and find new places to do those things, which is cool. But yeah, it's just wild.
It's like if you're gonna be saturated in technology, go do it somewhere that's like not just in your house. Like take work out of your house. Go to a coffee shop. You know, activate the hotspot on your phone and take your laptop to a park or sit in a fucking gazebo or something. You know,
it's a struggle, man. It's weird. Everyone's adapting to this new lifestyle that we've just.
Yeah, and I think I said this last week. Maybe it was the week before, but it was just like I really think we're gonna get to a point where you cannot go to the movies unless you've like bought the movie ticket on your phone. You have your QR code on your smartphone ready to go.
Yeah, it's like we're expected to have a smartphone on us.
Well, like
right?
so,
Like,
I've worked at major companies. Like I used to work at IKEA. Okay, and one of the things that we were constantly doing is like we would, we'd pull up someone's order on a tablet, and they'd be like, okay, so we're gonna send it to your smartphone and do all this. And if like someone didn't have a smartphone, it was a hassle. You had to like go find a printer. You had to like print the thing out, find their order, or it was like they had to sign these like acknowledgments about like furniture tipping over, securing it to the wall, all that bullshit. And they had to like scan a QR code to bring up the agreement. And people would be like, well, what if you don't have a phone? Then you had to go get the paper agreement, and you were like, oh, it's just like crazy to think. What the fuck? We've gotten to where we are literally all expected to be cyborgs. If you don't have your little technological prosthetic, you're like you're just out of it.
It's like on a fucking net navi or something.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the point where so many just pieces of life are having your phone is gonna be integral to, like, you're not gonna be able to buy stuff unless you have your credit card on your phone. Like, we're already getting closer and closer to cashless. We're going to get to where no one even has their physical card. Everyone just has their Apple Pay or their Google Pay, and you're just paying for stuff on your phone. You know what I mean?
Sorry, sir, you can't shop here unless you have your smartphone.
Right. Oh, sorry, sir, you can't drive because, your license is on your phone. You don't have your phone with you.
It's like, we don't accept cash. Oh, well, shit. Like,
yeah. It's going to be like, to get onto the subway or to get into the door of your office, scan your phone. It's it's so crazy. And it's just getting more. There's more and more devices, smart watches, the smartphones. Now people are just walking around with AirPods in. And it's like, now you just walk around and people are having conversations on the phone. It just looks like they're talking to themselves. You know what I mean? Like you're just becoming more of a cyborg. You just have less wires, but more integration. You're just talking to people. Oh, ending your phone calls, listening to a new song. You just go, tap your ear twice, boom, you're cyborg. Think about that. Think about the idea of like having no wires and you can just like do all this shit. I'm not hating on it. Like I'm gonna be honest, like I love sci-fi. I think the world taking so much influence from like sci-fi movies and things that you've seen on like TV shows and in movies for decades, it's now coming into the real world. I mean, it is really cool. Like the idea that you can talk to someone on your watch, like you're Dick Tracy or some shit, like it's really badass. But it's like, to what end? Remember when Google Glass was going to happen? I don't think it. We were all going to be walking around with like power level scanners on our face, scouters. And just like,
oh, you're talking Dragon Ball Z type shit.
Like that's what it looked like. It looked like a fucking Dragon Ball Z scouter. You'd be walking around like pulling up articles in front of your eye. You would just be like, hey Google, find me some Thai food, and it would just like nav you through your like eyes.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know why it failed. It seemed like that shit would be super hot, but
I think it's that people didn't want to wear it.
It'll come back though.
Sure.
It'll come back to where
like
like people that wear glasses naturally, you'll just be able to interface it into your regular prescription frames.
Have y'all tried the Oculus?
Like VR Oculus Rift and all that stuff. I've tried it in like settings where it's like, you're at like a convention or you're like at the mall and you can try VR or whatever. But I've never like owned one. I've never actually sat down and played a game on it. I've kind of just like dabbled in VR, but I mean, it looks crazy.
I haven't tried it yet.
I eventually that will be all the video games. Eventually, video games are just going to be VR.
Sure.
It's like
what do you need a console for? It's on your face.
Right. Yeah. And it's like eventually you'll probably just have like a little space in your house, and that's just like your VR space.
Bro, I saw this crazy device, this VR device. It was like this. It was basically like a treadmill that went all directions.
Was it circular?
Yeah. Have you seen that thing?
I've seen it.
And your body's like strapped up. You have like this backpack strap thing on you. Yeah, dude, pull it up. It looks
pull that shit up.
Sounds like
wild.
some Ready Player One shit.
It is like some Ready Player
And-
One surrogate type bullshit.
So you can run anywhere you want, duck, jump, like all this stuff. It's crazy.
Let me see. Hold
So
on.
you can play Call of Duty like for real. Like you're actually running and jumping and
People will get fit then, man.
yeah, that is a good thing about it.
Gotta
But-
get these Warzone wins. Like, you got like an actual
yeah, that's
six
it. That's
packs.
it right there.
So you're like on this pad and you can move. You can walk infinitely in all directions somehow. Oh shit! Wait till Madden comes out on this. You know. But I mean, yeah. Look at that.
See that thing? It's moving under your feet right there.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, but
I mean, yeah.
whoa, that looks wild.
See, this is going to be in
Dog.
people's house in the future.
no way.
This,
Yeah, let's start with
motherfuckers
the
are going to
rich
be
people.
like jacking into Tron, just like on their light bike and shit. You know, it's we're getting there.
That's
we're,
just your living room. That's crazy.
we're gonna get there.
I want to be in the game.
Yeah, watch. Okay, so we're on PS5 now. Well, PS7 will be purely VR.
Probably.
Calling it now.
Yeah.
Shit, if humanity lasts long enough on like the PS13, if we keep like that naming system up, it's just like,
No, the
well,
con-
can you actually digitize me into
Yeah,
the game?
PS13 will just be the Matrix. You'll just like
yeah,
jack
that's what I
into
was
the
about to say.
fucking.
I was about to say, digitize me into the
Right.
game and shit. Like,
Right.
I don't know. It's crazy. I think Adam's point is like the best. I just think it comes down to like self control. Like, can you put it down?
Ultimately, yeah.
Yeah, like you have the control at the end of the day to where it's just like
But
how much.
how are you gonna put it down when VR is gonna be more real than reality?
Have you ever seen the movie Surrogate?
Yeah.
Where like everyone has a surrogate human and they get into like a VR chamber
Yeah.
in their house, and when they go out to work and they go out and interact with the world, they're actually sitting in their house just driving their surrogate. And, like, what if that's what it becomes? And then it's like, okay, well, how does self-control stop you there when the whole world has just become so dependent on technology that you can't operate with self-control unless it's like at a detriment to the convenience of your actual life. Everything becomes so difficult to do without technology that you're just like forced to assimilate, you know?
I think that's the bigger issue that goes back to like when Adam was talking about the blue areas. It's just like if we take away the ability for people to like basically, oh, you got a choice, but your choices are either you live like at a really fucking annoying like lifestyle in which like you're really just like you don't have any opportunities, or it's just like you don't have any like tools that would make your life easy. It's just like a huge fucking detriment. Or you can just digitize.
Right.
Join us.
Yeah,
Like,
digitize.
I was about
Join
to
us.
say, you
Join the-
have, like it's almost like
join the mainframe.
Well, yeah, I have choices, but you give me like either like you have to do this or you have to live like a really shitty choice. And, like,
What are
Damn.
some of your other hobbies?
oh man, like dude, I'm pretty simple. I just like to photography, editing, and then just running are like the main things. But I guess for me, it's
I mean, you play video games a lot.
not as much. Like that's the weirdest thing. My dad always said it, and it's just like we would play Halo, and then like me
There's
and
a
my
new Halo coming out too.
God damn.
I don't know how I feel about it. Well, don't need to talk
Just
about
stop.
that.
Yeah, okay.
But like me and my dad would play it, and that's what I love the most. It was like even before the Xbox, like playing the PlayStation 1, Marvel Superheroes or Ace Combat. I loved it and everything. But he always said like, I don't play video games as much, son, because I don't have time. And as I've gotten older, I understand it because he was raising a family, had a wife and everything, and he's been a great dad and husband. But it's more so I have time, but I'm just like, now I do some other shit. Like, yeah, I love video games still, but I feel like there aren't as many. One, there aren't as many good video games, and that two, I just feel like I could be either running, shooting photography, or my favorite thing where it's like I just go have dinner with people, or I go like hang out with people, go hang out with Tommy and Claire. Hey guys, brought some ice cream. Let's watch a movie. Like,
So you make homemade ice cream?
yes.
Oh, that's a hobby, right? Speaking of, we should do that sometime soon.
He's like, hey, we should do that. Yeah.
No, but
we
for real,
should do
ice cream movie night needs to happen soon.
Oh,
But
for
yeah,
sure.
Jordan's ice cream is stupid.
How
good.
do you make it? You have a machine?
I'd have a machine. So it was pretty interesting. It's like it's just like this big freezer bowl that gets to like it just churns it. Like you have like the mixing arm in this big freezer bowl, and it just turns it for like 30, 45 minutes. And you just have to put in milk,
But he
cream.
puts in like the primo ingredients. So he's got like vanilla. This episode is brought to you by Cuisinart. By the way.
Also true.
But I mean, he's got like the vanilla extract.
Sure.
He's in there with his food processor, like chopping up the candy bars and shit.
Nice.
And you know, it's just like
So is it a noticeable difference better than
Yeah.
like the store bought?
Yeah, it kind of. I didn't think it would be
it
that
does go crazy.
that
It
different,
goes
but
a little crazy.
It's
Yeah.
pretty good. And you put it in like actual ice cream cones. Where like, I remember me and Tommy having it for the first time. We were like, yeah, well, I made it on my own for the first time. I was like, holy shit, And then I was like, I wonder if it's just me. So I had Tommy try it. I think you were like the first person to try
And
it.
I was like-
with my parents and my mom and dad.
I was
were
like, you could
this
sell
is really
this.
good. My mom and dad bought the same machine.
Nice.
That's how good they thought it was. So.
I literally, the first thing I said to him, I took a spoonful of this sea salt ice cream, which is like his signature flavor.
Shout out Kingdom Hearts.
And no, really it is. Like
Okay.
for real, it is his signature flavor.
Yeah.
You'll never find it anywhere else. It's not like sea salt and caramel. It's just sea salt. And it's
Okay.
light blue, and you'll never find that shit anywhere else.
Wait,
But
the ice cream is light blue?
Yes.
I just put
From the
food
salt?
coloring in it.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can make it any color.
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
light
okay.
blue is where you
Okay,
want it.
all right.
So, but the first time I ever ate that shit, I literally looked at him and I said, you could sell this. Like, just pack this shit up into a carton. You could sell this.
Yeah.
I think it's better than Bluebell.
Saying a lot.
I think it's better than a lot of ice cream brands. And the thing is, the possibilities are limitless. You don't even have to just make ice cream. You can make gelato. You can make sorbet. You can make
Make slushies
sherbet.
and stuff.
You can make
Yeah.
slushies. You can make froyo or frozen yogurt, whatever.
Yeah.
You know. But that was kind of whack. The frozen yogurt was.
Yeah,
whack.
it didn't really hold well. It wasn't as good. Like, I don't know.
Right.
That's just one thing. But yeah, man, like, if you and Bree want to, like, try it, I can get y'all in on the program. I just, like,
Wait,
so I
what you
was-
mean program?
So
There is a
wait,
Jordan
so let me
Eddings ice cream
explain.
subscription.
Is there a
I
wait
have
list or
I have a
what?
plan to get all of my friends to have cavities. But it's just a thing where it's like, when I was making it, I was like, fuck, I actually need some good containers to put it in. And I was like, I just need like 6 containers. So I went on Amazon and I was like, oh, this is like $16. They look like they're old enough. I thought it said like, I don't know what the fuck I was looking at. I think I was looking at like maybe the weight or something. I was looking at the wrong number. I got it and there's like 24 of these things. I was like, fuck, I can't use all these containers. And they're like 32-ounce containers. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, shit, here. Like, I just come over. I'm like, hey, guys, brought ice cream.
Yep.
Nice.
What flavor do you want? Like, 2 of my friends, like, they're married, like Ryan and Kia. Like, he likes brownie chocolate caramel. I was like, here you go. Like, Tommy likes sea salt. I was like, here you go. Or
I
like
like it
cookie
all.
dough. I
It
was like,
sounds,
here you go.
It sounds like a start of a business.
It's just for my friends, basically.
But he
it's
doesn't
like,
want to sell it. That's like how good of a dude he is. You just don't even want to sell it.
It's too much it takes the joy out of
What
it.
I think
It
you
really
should do,
does.
you get, all right, so you actually turn it into an actual subscription service, right? So everyone gets a tub, and then instead of them like coming to get it when they hang out with you, they just mail it to you. All they pay is they pay for you to ship it back to them. They send you the carton, and then they pay you the shipping to send it back at a small premium. So like $1 over the shipping charge. Now you're just making like gas money off the ice cream, and it's COVID safe. You never have to interact with anyone. They still get their ice cream. You know what I mean? Well, the shipping might be a little bit more expensive because you'd have to like cold ship it.
This
You'd
is
have to,
sounding like a lot of work, though.
Yeah.
It kind of is.
But it would
The
just
price-
be cool to have a
The
subscription
price,
service to
Tommy,
ice cream.
is friendship.
Hit
That's
you
a
with
steep
that.
price. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it's dope. Like
Yeah, that's cool.
to just like the small joy of just making your own ice cream.
Pretty much. So, yeah, man, like,
Yeah.
when we hang out, like, hopefully we can soon because I got vaccinated, I'm good to go and stuff, and I know y'all take safety precautions. By the summer, I'm thinking like May, everyone should have like be able to get a shot. But it's just like I'll bring y'all ice cream, or you guys can come over to my spot, and I'll be like, yo, take this ice cream home.
Nice.
So it's just like,
I mean, it is good.
Yeah. I think whenever COVID first hit, I think a lot of people started doing more homemade cooking and stuff. Like I made bread for the first time, like from scratch bread. And it was amazing. I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
that's-
And it's an amazing process, like doing that, especially bread in particular, because it's like you watch it like grow and it's like
Yeah.
alive and it's like
go from like yeast and
Right.
stuff.
it's
yeah.
wild. But it's been cool, like seeing more people cook, more people do. Even though I do think probably a good majority of people just started ordering stuff online, just doing curbside pickup of. I think a lot more people probably ate out, but I think another majority started cooking more. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I think it's another cool thing. Like cooking, making your own food is pretty amazing. Like it really gives you another perspective on
Yeah.
what goes into preparation and
Right.
doing all of that.
It tastes
so.
fresh too.
Yeah.
Like,
It tastes fresh. It just tastes better when you're eating something that you made with your own hands. You know,
that's true.
Like,
I
I've
didn't
been-
believe it at first, but it's true.
it's really weird. I've been experimenting with the air fryer.
Mm-hmm.
Been making like fried mozzarella sticks, fried okra, putting chicken wings in there. You know, it's just like, I don't know. It just comes out. It's got that good crisp. Anything that you can put in a microwave, you air fry it instead. Like, I know you don't eat this shit, but like you run some corn dogs through the air fryer and it's like you're at the state fucking fair.
Well,
It's
I air
nice and
fried,
crispy.
I air fried some French fries that I had got, or
Oh,
that Bria
shit.
got, or something
Yeah.
from a restaurant or something, and it was like brand new, like it just came out the
Mm-hmm.
grease. It tasted amazing.
And it's like actually healthier than it being in the grease. So
You could air fry some Oreos.
you can air fry.
Oh,
Really? You could if you wanted
Hell
to.
yeah.
You could air fry a Twinkie. You could air fry anything. I'm gonna be right back. No, I'm just kidding.
That's not his own thing, but it tastes good for sure.
Right. Yeah, we should do that sometime. We should each go home and like air fry something, and then like come back on the show and be like, all right, how was the air fried
Consensus.
Oreo? Yeah.
Good. I
Yeah.
would assume that it's good.
How could you fuck up an Oreo? Like
Actually, you know what we should do? Air fry the Oreos, bring them over, and then we'll put them
put them in the ice cream.
cream.
Oh shit! Might have just did something. Boom. That. God. After we just talked about fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables.
2 months later, Tommy and Jordan.
bro,
were dead.
there's
Yeah, right.
something.
Arteries
I thought about
congestion.
this too the other day because I have a sweet tooth too.
Yeah?
I love sweets.
I've never seen you eat anything sweet.
That's because you're not around
His moments
11 to
of
midnight
weakness.
whenever whenever the munchies kick in.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Tommy's like, what?
well, okay, my sweet tooth might be different
If
than
you
others.
sit
but
here and say, "Oh yeah, I'm a sucker. I have such a sweet
I
tooth.
do have a sweet
I'm a
tooth.
sucker for a nice bowl of pineapple." Like if you, like, what-
all right,
It's like Tom Brady. Oh man,
no,
a strawberry. Treat myself.
I will do shit like that sometimes. Like late at night, if I can't find anything sweet, I'm eating fruit.
but that's not having a
But
sweet
I know,
tooth.
but okay, I do love cake and cookies and ice cream. I love all of that.
Right.
But what I was thinking was like, is kind of on the topic of or the theme of what we've been talking about this whole time. But like now things are so sweet, and so like you have like these like high sugar foods and high salt
Yeah.
foods that like once you eat that, you can never go back to like just a plain whatever that was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Once you've added the salt or whatever, it's like you eat that like a chip.
Right.
Like you can never go back to unsalted chips. It's
Right.
never gonna be the same.
True.
Like the first time
You're
you
always
put
gonna be
cheese on
craving that.
something, it's like,
Yeah.
Huh?
So it's like with like you talk about nature's candy, which is fruit, but you eat a real piece of candy, you're like, that's way sweeter,
Right.
way more intense. Like it's so much more like
Right.
dilute or not diluted, but like concentrated. That like you can never go back to like
Right.
eat an apple again, and you're never gonna get that same
right.
endorphin rush that you got from eating that
True.
candy. So
Right.
it's like
It's
crazy.
You eat a strawberry or you eat a strawberry candy that doesn't taste like strawberry, it just tastes like red, And it's like
Pupils
why
get all
would I eat the
dilated, you're like,
strawberry
whoa.
when I could eat the red stuff, Like that shit is really crazy. Like, and it's so weird that I know what every color of like artificially flavored stuff tastes like. I know what fruit it's supposed to be, but I also know
yeah, strawberry flavor does not taste like strawberry.
it's not even close. And to be honest with you, and this is a hot take, strawberries look like they should taste a lot better than they actually do.
That's not that hot of a take, honestly.
I don't think strawberries are that good. Strawberries are pretty good. Okay, they're a pretty good fruit. And if you like dip them in sugar or something, or like if you dip them in chocolate, they can be elite sometimes. But just,
Chocolate covered strawberry is amazing.
yeah, that's elite.
Yeah.
But a regular strawberry looks like it should taste way better than it actually tastes.
Well, they are one of the highest like or most like GMO fruit out there. I'm sorry, I hate if anyone's a strawberry fan.
Oh,
I don't want to
man.
ruin this for y'all, but like
Episode's
it
brought to you
has
by
the-
Monsanto.
fuck Monsanto. Fuck Monsanto. Say that right now. But like there's this list like Dirty Dozen that like these I don't know if like a group of doctors do it. It's a really credible website that you can go to, and it's like the Dirty Dozen. It's like the highest like either GMO or it has the most like chemicals in that food, and you can look on that list like every like couple months or years. They do like update the list, and strawberry is always number one for like the highest chemical like concentration.
And
of,
why
like,
is that? Like, why is that?
It's the way it's farmed, grown, like it's just that's how it is.
He's right. I mean, like with banana, you know how like there's the banana Laffy Taffy, and people
Oh,
are
that
like,
shit tastes like...
well, the thing is that I learned recently that it actually does taste like a certain flavor of banana, but that banana now is almost extinct because it's not able to be farmed as efficiently as the other bananas that are more mainstream.
I will find
Wait,
whatever
sorry,
banana...
what are you saying?
Like, so you know banana Laffy Taffy and how it doesn't taste like how usually conventional bananas.
Have you
that
had
we
a
eat
banana
taste?
Laffy
Are you
Taffy?
talking about the candy Laffy
Yeah,
Taffy?
A Laffy
Okay.
Taffy, the banana flavored one.
Okay.
Have you had it?
I probably.
It's actually
remember.
Yeah, so it's actually it doesn't taste like what our conventional bananas that we usually eat, what we think of. It actually is based on a real flavor, but it's a different genus of bananas.
Okay.
So it's just like, but those bananas are very rare now because they
The
almost had a
forbidden
problem.
banana. I have to try
They
it.
almost went extinct,
Right.
and it's also a thing where now because of that they're very hard to farm and just
Yeah.
maintain compared to like other bananas that
Right.
have a better profit ratio,
Yeah.
like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So they don't farm them.
Yeah,
But you can
tech-
get them, but they taste like you're like, holy shit, this actually tastes like what
Yeah.
people were talking about. Same thing
Technically-
with grape Fanta. Like they aren't to get those types of grapes. it's expensive.
There's no grape on planet Earth that tastes like grape.
There
Fanta.
are grapes like that.
Grape
but
Fanta
not
tastes
on-
like purple.
Not on
and
this
they're-
hemisphere. not on this hemisphere.
What hemisphere do I need to go to?
Like you
to
probably,
get...
I think they farm them in like maybe Europe or something.
Well, I know there's Concord grapes, which taste completely different than like red
White
and
grapes,
white grapes.
yeah.
Yeah. Those taste wild. They're amazing.
There's different types of Concord
Yeah.
grapes. That, like it's just like anything else. How there's different strains of like viruses and stuff. There's different strains.
You're
and different
telling
types
me
of,
though
like,
that
grapes.
there is a grape that occurs on this earth that tastes like
No,
purple
don't get it twisted.
Fanta.
They definitely embellish that shit. They definitely make it.
But yeah,
like,
they're obviously adding super high
I
sweeteners.
know,
about
but
that.
the core flavor.
the core
of what-
flavor is like that.
Yeah.
Same with the banana Laffy Taffy, but it's just you can't find them now. They're they're
Well,
very
you know-
difficult to procure.
Every banana on this planet now is technically GMO'd. Not because adding chemicals or anything, but because of the way we farmed it, and they no longer have seeds. Like those little black dots that you see inside of the bananas when you like crack it or tear it in half, you see the little black dots. Those are supposed to be like big seeds.
Right. But
That is
we've
supposed to-
engineered the banana to be
We've
seedless.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we've just grown
Well,
it
it's
that way.
it's not through chemical, but it's through man like production. Like you can take like the way the banana plant grows, you can like take a piece of the plant, put it in the ground, and grow it without using seeds. So that's why it's just
We just
over
like,
time.
this is more convenient. So we just eat it
Evolutionary,
that way.
the plant's like, oh, I no longer have to produce seeds.
Okay,
so
but
I just
y'all
want
gonna
to
do
grow
it for
a seed.
me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So no one today is eating bananas in the way that Mother
No.
Nature originally intended.
There's not.
That's just evolution.
Yeah,
We're
through
part of nature,
through
too.
through man's way of doing it. And the same thing with apples. They're your conventional apples that you see. That's not. If you go back 200 years, apples were not like the way we see
Yeah.
them today. There's small apples,
Small.
big apples, apples shaped like pears, apples shaped like weird things. But like the conventional apple you see, that's not nature's apple.
that
that's
weird
man.
shape that yeah.
That's man's production,
Right.
taking varietals and different things, putting them together. Oh, this tastes the best, and
Yeah.
so it's wild. Like there's so many fruits that probably we will never experience or
Right.
know what they were or tasted like
Yeah.
because they just don't exist anymore.
True. I mean,
It's pretty
true.
wild.
I mean, like the fruits, like you mentioned, like they were like, oh, I don't have to do shit. Y'all gonna do it for me. So they just
Yeah.
adapted.
Bro,
But
I hate though that I can't find a damn watermelon with seeds when I go to the store sometimes, bro.
I know.
Because I grew up with it. Like I grew up seeds, you spit out the
Spitting
seeds.
out
It's
the
a part
seeds.
of it. And it's like now it's like I go to store. I'm like, ma'am, do you have a seed? I'm like the only person.
Hey,
You have
ma'am,
seeds in the
yeah.
watermelon? No,
Why would you
sir.
want that?
I know. I'm like, but it's something about it. It's like
Right.
this is the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Same with grapes. I like to buy my grapes with seeds in it. I like to.
Everything is
It's
just
like-
it has to be more convenient. You're losing valuable time spitting out
And
seeds,
money,
Adam.
bro.
Yeah.
All right, going back to Monsanto though, it's really fucked up.
Yeah,
that
fuck
they're
Monsanto.
selling seeds that don't
You
produce.
can never
that the plant
sponsor
doesn't
this
produce
show,
seeds.
Monsanto. Yeah.
Farmers have to buy seeds from a company. Think about
what the
that.
fuck have we
Think
become?
about that. Something that organic product that you're just supposed to take a fruit, you can open it up, take the seeds, plant it. You
Right.
no longer can do that in like the monocrops that they're doing. Like it's insane.
That is insane. That's like it almost pisses me off.
It
I'm almost
is.
angry now.
It's crazy. And then they say we're trying to feed the world, feed the planet. No bullshit. You're trying to make money
Right.
because you can freaking take a seed and put a patent on it
How can
and
I
say this is mine.
yeah,
I invented
how can I
it.
profit
I'm
the
God. No.
most off of like Mother Nature? Yeah.
Yeah.
these genetically engineered seeds. I mean, we do it with dogs too. It kind of was sad. Like I think I saw it like a couple nights ago. I was wanting a French bulldog, but now I'm probably not gonna get one.
Oh, speaking of French bulldogs.
Like, dude,
All
like,
right, was it Lady
oh,
Gaga's dog a French bulldog?
Lady
or no?
Gaga- yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Lady,
Sorry,
you see that
Chris-
story?
No.
Finish what
All
you're
right, I'll
saying.
tell you
We're
about
gonna
it in a
talk
Finish
second.
what you're
But I mean,
saying.
like,
Sorry.
when we look at like not only French bulldogs but English bulldogs, they have a litany of health issues, and we just bred them to look fucking weird.
Yes.
Like bulldog, like
Yeah.
I think what are they like bull terriers? They look weird too. We've just fucked them up because
I-
we bred them so selectively.
Yeah.
that they look weird.
I always say this when I see a dog like that. I always look at them
You
and
were
I
a
just
wolf
say,
once.
"We took wolves
I'm a
and
fix
did
wolf.
this to them."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like we took wolves and turned them into these little like creatures that have a nasal passageway that's like this thick, and they're like literally walking around unable to breathe because our stupid fucking humans are like, "It's so cute, it's so cute how he can't fucking breathe," you know?
Bro, I feel bad for those little yappy dogs. I feel like they're not like I feel like they're mentally challenged. Like for real, like they can't think past bark, bark, bark. Like
Right.
they're annoying as fuck. I hate little yappy dogs.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. It's not because I feel like they don't have a choice. Like they were just bred that way.
Yeah.
And their brain can't comprehend.
How
like
sad
you know
is
what
that?
I mean?
They're just
It's like-
trapped in that body. Where they,
Yeah.
Bark, bark, bark. Like that's all they can.
You know what I
fucking do.
mean? It's like
yeah, I
they're
know
like
exactly what you mean.
crazy because a normal dog doesn't do that. Like
Right.
a dog of regular intelligence, a
Right.
dog that should be like that intelligent, or dogs are really smart animals.
Right.
They shouldn't be barking like that. It's just not normal.
Just not all the time.
You know what I
In
mean?
in
Yeah.
a perfect world, I would have a dog as close to like the original canine as possible.
Like huskies and
Yeah.
shit
Yeah.
look like that kind of.
I mean, I have an Australian cattle dog, and obviously that's a
She's
breed
a
that's been
sweetheart.
she's perfect.
Ladybird.
But you know, she has behaviors and brains akin to that of like a natural original canine.
Sure.
You know, I would love to have like a wolf hybrid or like a German Shepherd or a husky. I don't have the facilities in my apartment to like facilitate such a large dog. But that is like what I envision my ideal dog to be. I just can't get down with these little super tiny dogs that have just been like filtered and processed down from wolves to be like this weird creature that we just created. And it's weird, you can actually go back and look at pictures of dog breeds from like 100 years ago.
Yeah, like
150
bulldogs.
years ago.
English bulldogs look like a mix between pit bulls and just kind of like boxers
Yeah.
almost.
And just in the span of like, obviously a dog generation is a lot shorter, but in the span of like a century or two, we've changed already, like what certain species or breeds
Crazy how fast
look
it
like.
happens.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And there's like all these, you know, breeders, and they breed them all for specific purposes. And, you know, they've taken dogs and like, well, this dog's purpose is this. Well, if we cross it with this to create that, and now you've just got all of these dogs that have been filtered down from the source to just resemble something not even close to
And
a dog.
people are doing it with cats. Like people doing the tigers and lion mix and stuff like
Ligers,
that.
yeah.
Like that's wild too.
I just had a Zoids flashback.
Liger's
as
hero.
soon as I said Liger. Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird.
It is cool doing it with plants too. Sometimes I see, I've watched people do
Yeah.
like spicing the like an
Right.
apple with the pear or something. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Well, like I
but-
showed you that kiwi berry thing.
Yeah.
But you know what I learned not too long ago? Lemons never occurred naturally on this planet. Lemons are not a naturally occurring fruit. Lemons are a cross between an orange and a citron.
I know what a citron
Yeah, a
is.
citron, it looks like you would never want to eat this thing. It looks like a mean lemon.
Did they?
All right. It
Did-
looks like it's got a super thick rind, and the amount of actual fruit on it. Let me see if I can find a picture.
Did they originate in China? I feel like citrus fruits. Saw somewhere that they originated in China.
I wouldn't be
Or they ate in
surprised. Let me
Asia
see.
somewhere.
Citron. Let me see. Old.
Well, I mean, like, the interesting thing I think is just like naturally. We like to say naturally in terms of like what we comprehend, but I mean, like once again, humans are part of nature. Like we're just
Right.
a part of it as well.
It's a good
Whereas, like,
point.
what the hell?
So that is a
Oh,
citron.
hell nah.
Now that's
You can
zoomed
buy
in.
those. I've
There.
seen these at.
Nah, miss me with that.
All right. So and there's different types of citrons, but like ultimately, let's see.
I mean, the inside of a lemon does look like an orange.
but look at this. Okay, this is how much fruit
Oh shit.
is naturally in a citron, and so they just took these and they crossed them with oranges, and that's where we get the lemons we have today. But before humans and like before, you know, we started combining them, lemons never occurred naturally on Earth, which is crazy because lemons are such an integral fruit. Like you go to a restaurant, you probably have a lemon wedge in your drink. You know, eat something like a fish, a piece of salmon. Chances are it's got lemon juice that's been, you know, lemons are everywhere. You're constantly consuming lemon and lemon byproducts.
Wow.
And it's just so interesting to think it's not even something that naturally occurred on Earth.
Well, I mean, like it.
I mean, citrons, I'm sure the juice and properties of citrons are very similar to that of a lemon, but like not a naturally occurring thing.
I think it might have just been expedited. I think eventually it could have happened because think about honeybees. Like
Sure.
we kind of do the same thing. We just do it in a really fucking different way.
Sure.
But like
Right.
when bees cross pollinate, like that, who knows how many different species of flowers and other vegetation that
Yeah.
could have like shown
That's
up.
true.
So it's just like who knows? Those seeds might have eventually blown into each other just
Yeah.
by like the breeze of the wind, and they would have like formed lemons that way. But we just were like, yo, this shit's delicious, and we just made it this way.
That is true.
I
yeah,
don't know.
talking
We're-
about this makes me realize how much the humans have manipulated this environment, this planet we live in. Like we
just create
manipulated
the dogs
so
we want.
much.
We create the fruits we want.
Yeah, it's
we
wild.
even we're getting to the point where we like create the weather we want. You know,
Shit, man. It'd be like that horrible ass Gerard Butler movie.
Geostorm or whatever it was called. Yeah.
Wait, what movie is that?
Not a movie you want to watch.
okay.
I've only seen previews, and I was like, this looks
Is
like
that
some
what-
fucking nonsense.
Is it Geostorm?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, we're getting to where we are trying to change every natural aspect of, I mean, not everything, but like we are meddling in the natural properties of
playing
so many
God.
things. Yeah.
In a way.
We talked about this the other episode when we were talking about cloning.
Oh.
Like, we are really just slowly playing
How do we
God
get on
more
this
and more.
topic every time?
Because
I
it's
feel
just interesting. It
'Cause we're
always
all clones.
it's all about like how humanity is acting. Like I think
Yeah.
that what did they do? They created a black-footed ferret the other week.
Yeah.
And that was like
Black-footed
that was
ferret?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
a species that was.
was
either
Oh, I
endangered-
saw that. I
Yeah,
saw
they
that.
like created it,
Yeah.
and it's like this is some Jurassic Park shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're literally doing some wild shit now. But I'm just like, me and Tommy talk about it a lot, and I don't know if I've talked with you about it. But I'm like, modern Homo sapiens have only existed for like 180 to maybe 200,000 years. Dinosaurs were fucking chilling on the planet for like 250 million years. They had different eras: Triassic, Jurassic, all these different
I mean,
eras.
there could have been another intelligent humanoid species walking the Earth.
Sure.
We
Sure.
just don't
And
even
that's
know
not
them.
even tinfoil hat shit. I mean, like the Earth has existed for 4.3 billion years.
Right.
Like humans existing for 200,000 years. If you equate that to like a 24-hour clock, we've existed for all of 3 seconds.
Right.
We
and-
don't fucking
yeah.
like we die. Alligators, cockroaches, and like certain
They're
bacteria gonna
chilling,
be like,
and in
"All right,
about
nigga,
100 million
we gonna
years,
stay
they-
on here. Like,
yeah, exactly. 100 million years from now, there'll be a different humanoid walking
Sure.
the Earth. Yeah.
Because the Earth will reset. It'll just be like, all right, we'll either heat it up or I'll just have another ice age.
Sure.
And then whatever comes out of it, like
Yeah.
along with alligators, cockroaches, and certain
Yeah.
bacteria.
Wow.
That's why I say, like, we have the choice if we want to be here.
Yeah.
And because Earth and nature and life is going to continue on with
Yeah.
us or without us.
Right.
We just have to decide, okay, should we live sustainably or not? Do we want to be here or not? And it's looking right now like, well,
Nah, man. Profits,
well,
bro.
fuck it. We'll just move to Mars. We'll just go to Venus.
Yeah,
we'll
like
just,
a Mars.
I mean, we
be
trashed this planet. Let's
interplanetary.
just keep on going. Yeah.
But yeah, and also like I love that you say like it's good to say I don't know in terms of like time. If you're looking back in time periods, like looking at different human species, there's been multiple different human species that we've discovered.
We
Like
have like
bones
common
and-
ancestors, yeah.
yeah, there's different humanoid people that we know little about, and those are the only ones we've found.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine like throughout time and history, there's been so many different things and species probably of life that we will never ever know existed on this planet. And to say
Which
that
is
we know everything or think we know
horrifying.
everything is kind of ridiculous, right? Like, we should just accept the fact that this planet has been here for so long and this universe has been here for so long that we are really clueless when it comes to like history. And
we
Absolutely,
know, we
bro.
know hardly anything.
I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. Like, so much knowledge is lost. Like, New Alexandria, or not New Alexandria, but just the Alexandria Library, the first one, we lost it, I think.
It was burned down.
Yeah, like, we lost all of that fucking knowledge.
Yeah, I think someone said that we went back by like thousands of years. We lost thousands of years of knowledge and wisdom in that
Who
library.
knows could have been in that?
Yeah.
Like, in that point you mentioned about common ancestors, Neanderthals and another type of, like, similar, I guess, species to humans, they breeded and, I guess, created natural Homo sapiens.
Yeah.
We almost were extinct, like,
Yeah.
I think after, what was it? I think it was like a major volcano that was along the Pacific Rim, like exploded a couple, like maybe 30,000 years ago. There were only, I think they said, 200,000 humans left on the planet.
Yeah, it's insane.
And now we've our way back to almost 8 billion.
And now look at us.
And we've selectively breeded ourselves.
7.5
bro.
billion strong, baby.
We don't just
You
do
know,
it with dogs either, bro. It's just like,
Dude.
think about it. Like you mentioned, Adam, like natural humans. Well, I guess we naturally are this is the way we look now, but compared to like Amazons and other tribes that are untouched
Dude, do
by
y'all
like
think-
certain trends, we look completely different.
Oh, for sure. Do y'all think we're eventually like all look the same? Be like the same
Tommy,
race?
Answer this question.
You know what I mean?
That's
Because
a
like
scary hours
at this
question.
point,
Eventually, y'all are all gonna look like me.
yeah,
Maybe.
Y'all are all gonna
maybe.
be tan. All right, you're gonna have some shade of brown hair.
Yeah.
You're just gonna be. It's like we are all gonna just eventually, 100 generations from now, except for like in like Norway, they'll probably always be ultra super fluorescent white. But I
Curly
mean, the
Hollow looking
majority of the world will eventually become
I think so.
one, because
I'm with it.
we are now able to travel wherever we want, whenever we want.
yeah.
The world is becoming less and less like separated by race.
Globalization.
Racism is obviously still present, but on a way smaller scale than it used to be. So
Oh, yeah.
people have the ability to settle down with and have children with people of any race that they want. We're traveling all the time. You might find the love of your life on the other side of Earth. You know what I mean? So
Like, look at Naomi Osaka.
super athlete,
Japanese
product of two beautiful races. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
They were
eventually-
unrelated and possibly would
Yeah.
have been impossible for them to meet maybe 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So get a good look, America.
But dude, look it up. I think Time did an actual article about what the average human will
Yeah.
look like, and I think it's
Really?
in the same
Yeah.
vein of what you're
Really?
talking about.
I've
And the
never
girl
seen
on
that.
the cover looks like my sister. or some
Kind
shit.
of, yeah. It's wild, man.
Wow.
So you and Bree already can kind of think about like,
Y'all are
maybe-
gonna have some beautiful little
I was about to
caramel
say-
babies.
In the perspective of history, and we talk about races and racism, like it's so foolish to think that you're separate from any other person, because if the further you go back, the more you realize, oh, we all came from one common person, and to think that that you're any different than somebody just because of your skin or where you were born is ridiculous.
It's just melanin count, bro.
It's so crazy, right? To
Just
think,
different
bro,
characteristics.
just simply look at history in your past. The further you go, the more you realize, oh, we're all come from the same person or the
Yeah,
same
exactly,
species.
yeah.
Like what? Like
Hold on, I still haven't found it yet.
Nah, it's I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like, you know what I'm talking about, though. I think, yeah.
Race Melting Pot Time Magazine.
Let's see.
See if I can find it. Yeah, you might be able to find it on your phone faster than I can find it on.
what's
on
the
here.
oldest found
Yeah.
bones of any human species ever?
Human species?
Yeah, what's the oldest? 200,000 years?
Like humans in the way we exist
No,
today,
no, no.
or just like
in
Homo
general,
erectus?
Just
up-
in any human species. Like past.
when you say
past
human
apes,
species, what do you mean?
because there's different human species.
I'm talking about like, are you talking about like Homo erectus, upright
Yes,
walking?
Yes.
Lucy.
Past. Is she still the oldest? Are you sure?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
She's
And that was what? How long ago?
Australopithecus. Let's look up Lucy.
How long ago was that? 200,000? Her bones?
Yeah, let's see how old good old Lucy is.
I feel like they found one older than that now, no? And that was found in Africa, right?
Yeah. Lucy, several hundred pieces of fossilized. Let's see. When do they think Lucy was discovered? It's hard to see, like on this screen. It's kind of small.
Oh.
Oh, it wasn't Time Magazine. It was National Geographic.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, I think the girl's name is Jordan Spencer or something. So it's like, I think if you look that up.
Wait.
It's hard for
Dated-
me to see on the screen.
It says
maybe.
dated to about 3.2 million years ago.
Holy shit.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
way
so
off.
she's probably
Whoa.
the oldest.
3.2 million years ago?
Yeah.
Human-based
Holy
life like
crap.
that. Holy shit, dude.
It's
Lucy,
Wild.
Australopithecus. Homegirl's kind of bad. No, I'm just kidding. What did you say?
so this is what they think she looks like.
Yeah, this is like an artist rendering of, honestly, remarkably human, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can kind of see it. Yeah.
I mean,
so I mean, if this
this is the first upwalk, like
upright walking, at least that we know of.
Yeah.
So, right, if this is, what did you say, 3.2 million?
3.2 million.
But if the Earth has been here for 4 billion.
Yeah. It's not even scratching the surface.
I was
Yeah.
about to say.
But I mean, like, obviously, for a large portion of that time, Earth was a fucking lava planet. We were like Mustafar for a while, you know? So, I mean,
True.
like, it's obviously like that
Before it
entire.
became habitable.
Yeah. That entire range of Earth's existence, we weren't habitable the entire time. But.
But like dinosaurs for 300 million years, it's so interesting that other
Yeah.
species could have like popped
300
up.
million. When you get to that million mark, you
Like, dog, we can't even conceptualize
You can't
that, bro.
even comprehend what
I
a
can
million
barely
years is.
conceptualize the year 2021. The idea that, like, you know, the idea that we've been, you know, beyond Christ for 2,000 years. Like, 2,000 sounds like an insane amount of years. But the idea that doesn't even scratch, I mean, that's just like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
You know?
There was this, I think, documentary series or something. Maybe it was a movie that Neil deGrasse Tyson did. And there was like this chart scale thing they did that kind of helped you put it all into perspective of like the time period of Earth. And it was just wild watching it. I forgot what it was, but it like started off on like this little time frame thing, like just a normal time frame like that. And you can see it in one clip, and then it just it zooms out more and more and more until it just gets to this ridiculously huge. And you're just like, wow, it just takes your breath away.
It
man.
is. It is really crazy.
Yeah.
We're young and we're small, bro. It's just, I don't know.
Let me see. Let me see if I can find that cover of that magazine.
Yeah, I thought about it too, like just with travel alone. people are just going to be look more alike.
I mean, yeah. I don't know if this is it.
Black and white.
Oh no, these girls
sisters.
are twin sisters.
Oh,
Which,
that's kind of crazy.
I mean, that is
too.
really dope.
That's interesting.
Uh,
I think in that,
Bro, look at these random pictures of freaking camels racing.
that's her face.
oh,
on the
here it
left,
is. Here it
yeah.
is. National Geographic.
Yeah.
Yes, here she is. Look at my sister, y'all.
Hmm.
National Geographic
Her eyes look
predicted what
crazy.
Americans will look like in
That's
2050.
not. For some reason, I think this came out. When did this come out? Like in 2014 or something?
2014, yeah.
2050 seemed like it was far as fuck away, but here we are in
That's
2021.
like a new eye color. What is that? That's like brown, green, bluish.
He's kind of like Tommy's eye color.
It is kind of like that.
I was about to say, it's just like
It's a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, who knows? If that's what they're saying by 2050, what are we all going to look like in 2200, you know?
well, let's see if we can make it to
Dust.
22.
We're all going to be in the fucking dirt.
Dust.
You know, but it really is crazy. It really is crazy, and it's like a really beautiful thing to see. But yeah, I mean, we really are just like everything is just meshing together. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Hopefully, it unifies us all as one species. Maybe once we all fucking look alike, we'll stop fucking going to war and shit. You know,
Do you like? I'm sure Joe Rogan didn't come up with a theory, but he always talks about like what humans are gonna look like eventually with
Oh, shit.
our technology rate and stuff. Like we're basically gonna look like the stereotypical alien with the big head, big
Yeah.
eyes, you in the small
that-
mouth,
and
no
the
nose,
hands,
and
yeah.
small because it's just.
Right.
And we're gonna eventually become just everything telepathic and all
I don't
that
know if
shit.
he came up with that, but it's probably
No, I don't
true.
think he did, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of scientists say that eventually our hands are going to start like changing shape to be more tailored to like gripping a device.
Yeah, but I don't.
Possibly.
The only flaw I see in that is that how long are these phones gonna last?
That's
And
also
how
true.
long
Until there's something
I mean,
else
like,
that
if
we can
they
just put on our
exist
body
in
or
this
something.
form,
Right.
eventually that would happen.
I was about to say,
But-
it takes thousands, maybe like to millions of years for changes like that to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that long, but for sure.
Not millions
because
of
there's
years,
already
but
people.
maybe something faster.
Have y'all
yeah.
seen the thing with like the pinky bumps that people get from holding their
Yeah.
phones so long?
Yeah.
They develop
Like a little notch in their finger.
things like
Yeah.
that, and it's what is it called? It has a name for it. Like doctors
I don't
have
know.
given a name for it. And
I
stuff.
don't have it, but
Oh, thank God I don't either.
Are those like gain traits, or are those things that are like passed down?
No.
No,
This is
it's like-
from
it's
just
like gained
cell
from
phone.
use,
Yeah.
yeah.
So just gain from use.
But
yeah,
just in that short period of time, your body has already developed something
like a little
to help
notch. Yeah.
to help with that whatever is going
Yeah.
on.
they could pass it down then. Yeah.
One thing that I've like seen is scientists say that in a number of generations, I forgot what the number was, we will eventually start to be born without pinky toes. We don't need them. You know, like I guess when
Possibly,
we were originally born, you know, we had the splayed out feet like humans that exist, you know, living out in nature. And you were like scaling up trees and like running through the dirt, and you needed that pinky toe for like extra traction and extra, you know, grip when climbing things. We're now just wearing these super comfortable shoes. Most of us are sitting all the time. Eventually, we're not going to have pinky toes. And actually, they measured like over the course of different generations, the average human pinky toe is getting smaller and smaller. Eventually, it'll just be gone.
Yeah, and I think the same thing's happening with our mouths and our jaws. We originally had wider jaws and actually perfect teeth. When you go back and look at
We were all
early
some
humans,
handsome boys.
everyone, mostly everyone,
Chads.
and you can even look at in tribes and in places around the world where they don't have the traditional diets that we eat, because that's basically where they correlated it to, with having these wider jaws and easier, and wider nostrils, easier to breathe and stuff like that. And that's why a lot of people are having like sleep apnea problems and things like that, where we have people with breathing problems now. And with braces and all that, like having crooked teeth, that was never a thing. That's a very recent thing that's
That makes
happened.
sense.
And it's because of our food. We don't we cook down everything. Everything's much easier to chew and
That's
eat.
too big. Make it smaller for me to
Right.
eat.
Yeah, and there's actually studies. People can you can actually expand your jaw. Your jaw can grow and shrink within your lifetime. So you can have a wider jaw, or smaller jaw based on what you eat
Right.
and how you breathe. So if you're breathing through your mouth all day, your jaw will shrink, and the upper jaw in particular will shrink, and this causes a lot of problems that we see today with teeth and breathing. So it's really interesting too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, think about it, man. Like, you see people getting plastic surgery and stuff. The
Yeah.
narrow nose is beautiful.
Oh, that's wild.
And what's
It's
interesting-
It's so interesting what we think is beautiful.
It's interesting with plastic surgery that you can, you know, even if you've never met a person before, you can tell that they've had plastic surgery because your brain is so keen at recognizing a human face. You can tell when something's fucking off. You can tell when it's like, okay, that is not a natural way for a human to look. I know that you've had your nose resculpted, or even if I've never met that person.
You've seen the what's happening in what has been going on for a while, and I think it's in either Korea or where they have the shaved, the eyelid surgery, and they shave down their jaws and their chins to have, and you look at like the beauty contests or pageants that they do,
they all look because
identical.
there's one beauty standard, and then they all strive so hard to meet that beauty standard that it's creating like a generation of a completely homogenous looking, and it's crazy. And people say like, it's racist to say that like all people look alike, but in this exact like instance, they actually are starting to assimilate to all look alike.
And I heard it was to the point where it's gotten to the point where instead of like, you get like a graduation gift, like you get a car or something nice, like a trip or something. No, they get plastic surgery for their gift. That's what it's come to. Like, and that's where it's moving to. Like, we were looking at that girl. We were looking at some girl who's dating like an NBA player or something. Oh, she's pretty, or who's, you just look at who they're dating. And she was beautiful, and then Tom told me she had.
Hero. No.
She told me she had got plastic surgery and she doesn't look what she used to look like. I'm like, she's gorgeous. Why?
Oh, maybe might have been Hannah Stocking.
There was a girl who dated Klay Thompson.
Yeah. She doesn't look the same anymore.
She looks kind of
like
interesting.
Why? Like when you're so like, it's come to the point where nothing is good enough. Like you constantly have to get what's better, to the point where you're changing your freaking body and your face. It's wild.
It's not sustainable. It's just like, and it's like the thing going back to how everything has to be like, this is on the aspect of like how everything should look, but also it pairs well with like what Tommy was talking about. Like both of your points pair up. It's just, how does things look from you, Adam, and then how are things more efficient from you, Tommy? It's just like, it's not making the human experience good. And like, honestly, people are just like, well, it's like fucking difficult.
It is.
Like, dude, like it always feels like there's some kind of bar, and it's like you mentioned. I think the younger generations are just tired of shit. We're tired of like, this is how you should look. This is what you should do. Like, dude, like man, fuck, like,
it's a lot.
Why is this shit so difficult, bro? It's like parents brought us in this world. Why you bring us in? Like, obviously, I think we're all very loving. We love our parents very much, but there are days I'm like, yo, this being a human shit is kind of difficult, man.
It is.
Yeah,
it's lit at times, but then other times like, fuck, I gotta like file my tax returns. I gotta like check the car in for maintenance. Oh fuck! Like my legs hurting. Let me iron that. Like let me like roll that out with a roll. Like it's like damn, dude. Like it's a lot of things to just do.
Could be a lot worse.
Absolutely, it could be a lot worse. But it's just the thing where it's like, man.
Well, I think now
the human experience is weird now.
Yeah, and we have unnecessary things to do.
That's
like
true.
To the point like there's only a certain amount of tasks that you can accomplish in a day or a week or a month, and it's like also like you could do more, but to what cost? Like at the cost of like. Life's become too complicated.
True.
We have too many things to do. It's weird.
Yeah. It's like, why are there so many tasks? And you feel pressured to do all this shit.
Yeah.
It's not even necessary.
Not necessary.
And it's so unnatural. It's like, I have to fill out all this paperwork.
Yes.
There's just endless forms, endless checklists. You go through my phone, I have so many reminders for all
Same,
this
dude,
shit.
same.
Dude. It's like, fuck. Like what happened to when,
you wake up, you go outside, you can take a piss in your front lawn. you go.
Where was
front
this?
lawn? What?
Maybe the backyard.
But you know what I mean? Like there's no one around you. Like you have your land. I'm talking way back.
Oh, that's how it was when I was camping. It was so
You know what I
amazing
mean?
to just be like, I need to pee. All right, I'm outside.
Like I'm talking about simple life, where you wake up, you go outside, you could pick your vegetable, your fruit out of your tree or your garden. You're good. You don't have bills to pay. You don't like the old life. But there's something like kind of enchanting about it. It's like the simple life, the life where the worries aren't there. You're good. You're going to be taken care of based on, you have your own life. You can grow your own food, have your own water source.
I'm with it. I think everything just kind of goes back to the mean. And I think as younger generations like us and others that are under us too, it's just like we look at things and we're not even doing anything spectacular. But it's just like, I think Jaylen Brown did it when like he was an NBA player, an all-star and stuff. But he was like, he asked one of his teachers, like, why do we do things? And the common answer is just like, well, I did it this way. It's like, well, I'm not saying it can be bad, but it's just a thing where it's like, well, what the fuck? Like, why are these ingrained behaviors that feel like you have to do? That's not to say that things are bad. Like, I had like this one thing yesterday where I was like, I looked through a few stories after I like finished the meeting and I was getting some water, and one of them I was like, it was kind of disappointing, and it was just like, they were like, this is food for thought, and I was like, it really isn't. It was I think it's a bad take. I don't want to get y'all's opinions, but it was like the nuclear family is being undermined. I'm like, first of all, why are you acting like the nuclear family is like the building block of society? I'm like, that doesn't mean really as much.
And
as
describe
you think it
what
does.
nuclear family is.
It's like 2 parents and 1 or 2 kids.
Okay.
And it's just like, that's good. And I grew up in a nuclear family, but I've met people that have come from nuclear families that are assholes.
Right.
And people that have come from them that are good and great people. But it's the same with single parent
You're
homes.
saying they're acting like that's the gold standard.
It's like the goal.
Okay.
Like, but it's being undermined by abortion
Right.
and by like transgender, like gender fluidity and people not having as many kids. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is an all-time bad take. Or it's just like women are being forced into the workplace. Like, no, women are finally getting agency and access to education.
Right.
So they're like, cool, I can do shit other than being a
Yeah.
housewife and a baby maker.
Yeah.
Like, they're not being forced. Like, the fuck are
So
you
many
talking
people
about?
believe like, oh, women working will be the end of society. It's the core building block that they're removing.
They
Like,
have to be in the homestead. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
like, people still believe this, and you're like, why do you think that way? Well, I thought this, I was brought up this way. Like,
Yeah.
Really, I think the core building block might just come down to growing up and being in like a strong community.
are you loved?
Like, it's the most cliche saying, it takes a village.
It does,
But
bro.
it does actually just take a village. If you just have a strong community,
Yes.
it doesn't matter if you have a stay-at-home dad or 2 going to work parents, you got no siblings, you got 7 siblings, it doesn't matter. If you are in a loving, safe community where everyone is working together towards the common goal
Yeah.
of furthering everyone's goodness.
Yeah. It seems utopian,
Right.
but it's happening right now all across the world. People are living like that.
Right.
It's not as
and-
difficult as we think.
And I love that aspect. And like I love like when I look back at history, like organizations like the Black Panther Party and things like where people are like come together to create schools and buildings and do things or in hospitals even and doing that on your own with your community, with your funds, people coming together. And like I even just love the idea of like, hey, go into your neighbor's house to borrow some salt or sugar or whatever. You know what I mean? Like simple things like that where you watch each other's back. And even like, okay, one person has a generator in the community, like say everyone loses their power. Everyone can go there, go on a timetable and cook their foods. And it can be simple. It doesn't have to be this crazy complicated thing where like, you know, and I love the fact that, who's Jaylen Brown, you said, asked that question. We should be asking, why are we doing the things that we're doing? Why are the things the way they are right now? It's an amazing question to ask, and it'll really open your eyes.
Everyone should be saying why all the time.
Yeah.
You should just be asking why.
Yeah, why should I be doing that?
Right.
Like, it's just be happy. Like, I'm just like, okay, like, you have to have kids. You have to, like, buy a home. You have to have kids. And you have to do that. Like, look, man, like, eventually, if I could have a kid, I would probably only want one. And if they really wanted a sibling, wouldn't want to deprive them because having, like, Alex is, like, one of my greatest joys. Maybe is my greatest joy. But I'm like, one would be fine. But I always tell Tommy and, like, Ryan and some of my other friends, like Ayub and stuff, I'm like, when y'all have kids, I kind of want to be the uncle. And it's just like that way, like Tommy was saying, the whole aspect of community and what you were like building on as well. It's just like if they ever need someone to like relay things to, where it's just like, man, shit, my dad doesn't understand me, Uncle Jay. And it's like, well, this is what he's trying to mean, man. Like he's coming from a good spot, bro. Like, let me tell you about when me and Tommy went to here and we did this shit. We jumped in like Austin and we slammed through a lake and we couldn't feel the bottom of our feet and shit. Like we did crazy shit too. And he's like, really, my dad did that? Being able to do shit like that. You serve as kind of like a bridge and like a other mentor that helps to develop the kids. And then they grow up thinking, wow, it's good to be that type of person. And then they do the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, just be there for each other instead of feeling like, no, you can't talk to me. You have to talk to your dad. Like, like, no, you can get help from, that's what I had with like my parents' friends. They're like uncles and aunties, maybe not by blood, but it's just like, they basically are.
It never has to be blood. Yeah. It's always like, that's
another thing that people are like, no, if it's not your blood, fuck them. Like,
fuck that. I ain't got friends. I got family.
hell yeah, Vin Diesel. Can we talk, Adam? Side note, but what are your opinion on the Fast and Furious movies?
All right. I have a weird relationship with like crazy.
I'm about to have my heart broken.
Bro, okay.
Don't you say anything.
No. I have
Don't you
I have
say
a weird
anything.
relationship with like. Okay, I'm not calling Fast and Furious cheesy or corny or anything, but there is something with like these crazy over-the-top action films, right?
Okay.
I am very entertained by them.
That's all I need to
without
hear.
a doubt. Okay, entertainment, great. will I ever go back and watch them multiple times over and over again? No.
Okay, that's fair.
So
But
one
why?
time is good
Tell
enough.
me why.
Because I've seen it, and I've seen it hundreds and times again. Like Fast and Furious is, to me, you know what I mean? It's cool. I think the first like few were awesome as a child. Like growing up and seeing those, amazing. I loved watching having like rappers and people that I know like in the actors in there was really cool and stuff like that. And obviously I love cars, but it gets over the top sometimes, and it's like it gets too Hollywood sometimes, and I'm like, it's just yeah. So that's how I feel about it. I've nothing negative or positive. It's kind of in between for me.
Fair.
Would
Yeah.
you say you enjoy when films make sense?
Of course, of course.
Okay, then maybe Fast and Furious just isn't for you.
Yeah,
Because
I mean-
they're fucking horrible.
This is on display is a hating ass.
It's not hating to
He
think
doesn't know how to find. It's okay.
that movies that are like actually devoid of plot, acting, logic, like it's not
Okay.
a hot take to
Just
say that that's
enjoy
bad.
the movies, bro.
Yeah. There is a part of that, but to me, it's like Fast and Furious. I compare to like music with like trap pop.
See,
You know what I mean? It's like the same thing. Like you can listen to the song a couple times. Oh yeah, it's a good vibe. I'll listen to it in the club or something.
you listen to Lil Uzi?
But I'm not gonna
No.
go back and listen
Not
to it
gonna
on
put on
my.
that Uzi. What?
I don't
All right,
listen
man.
to Lil Uzi. I don't want demons in my house. You know, like I can't get with it. I just can't get with
Yeah.
it. I like things are badass to me in movies when it's logical. Like, you know, these dudes from South Central LA that 4 movies later know how to jump out of planes and shoot rocket launchers and drive through buildings.
Yeah.
And like for
Accumulated
some reason are
experience.
like being contracted by the government to save the world. Like that shit is so stupid.
Bro, okay. It's like okay, the production incredible, the shooting incredible, like that the CGI, the everything is amazing that they have in these movies now. Incredible, like over the top, like wow, blows your mind. But then the acting, the script, the plot, like you said, you're like, damn.
The cheesiness, man.
Yeah,
Like,
same with the
I
Star Wars
relish
films.
it.
Same with Disney, the way they're doing Star Wars, and you have these things that, like it becomes too Hollywood, it becomes too over the top, it becomes too many people putting in what they want to happen. You know what I mean? It gets watered down, and it kind of sucks that it happens that way. And it takes the artistic love. That's why I appreciate other movies that are super artistic indie films. Like, for example, what was that one? Peanut Butter Falcon. Like
Peanut Butter Falcon,
it's so,
great
such an
movie.
indie kind of, but it's got great acting. It's got great plot. It's a feel good kind of story. And it's more artistic in that way. Then you have, and the same with music. I look at the same way of music, dude. And it's like fast food. It's like fast food movies and music. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like a quick hit, high, cool, move on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
No, for sure. I mean, like with the Fast and Furious movies, I think the thing I like about them is it seems like they're having fun with this.
Sure.
So that's why I enjoy it. But I will fully agree with you on like the new Star Wars properties. I feel like Disney doesn't know what to do with them.
Unless
What
it's
were your-
Disney led by Jon Favreau, because The Mandalorian goes hard.
Well, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni actually know Star Wars. Filoni especially.
Stop
This
letting
dude-
people make movies that don't care about the movies.
Like
Mm.
when Filoni was talking one time about like how Qui-Gon Jinn's death affected Luke's, like not Luke but Anakin.
Right.
It was just like what kind of implications that had for the galaxy. I was like, this man actually cares about the lore.
If-
He's read the books and shit. He
If
cares about the lore.
Dave Filoni says something, I take it as if George said that shit.
Mm.
Like, Dave Filoni gets it. He critically gets it. Fucking Ryan Johnson and
I
J.J.
subverted your
Abrams
expectations.
are trash.
J.J. Abrams should never direct the Star Wars.
Someone said J.J. Abrams is the B student of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Doesn't create a lot of original shit.
I
He's
agree
just
with
like here rehashed and
Lens flare and rehash plot.
More fire, more explosions, more
Yeah.
fucking CGI.
Star Wars, I'm a gigantic Star Wars fan. Like, over the top Star Wars fan. 7, 8, and 9 are dumpster fire, and I cannot wait for Disney to retcon them and act like it was an alternate universe. Solo, fine. Not
Haven't
that
seen
good of a
it.
movie.
You just liked it because Childish Gambino was
Yes.
in it.
Donald
At least it's
Glover as Lando Calrissian, amazing.
Oh yeah, he no longer goes by Childish Gambino. I forgot. He
I mean-
dropped that alias, right?
Supposedly,
Oh, I think
the
Gambino,
end of
though.
the childish era has come, but whatever. Rogue One, pretty good movie. I
Solid.
enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
And then what Disney has done with the continuation of the Clone Wars cartoons, The Mandalorian,
Good shit.
the upcoming Obi-Wan standalone show, that shit is great. Okay, we're gonna get the Book of Boba Fett coming soon. After all of that, I'm very excited for. But the motion pictures, notably the episodic motion pictures 7, 8, and 9 are so bad that not only do they almost drag down the entire net worth of the Star Wars franchise, I'm embarrassed to say I'm a fan of any franchise that includes those 3 films, because they are 3 of the worst planned out. No, I can't even say they were the worst planned out, because they weren't planned out. They are a disgrace and a slap in the face to anyone who's ever enjoyed a Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Like I
agree.
What they did with that film franchise and what they thought they could get away with was so disrespectful and so stupid that I actively in my mind act like they don't exist.
So I'll give my quick takes on it. I'm like 7. I'd say was a B-. It was cool. It was a reintroduction to stuff. Felt like they were kind of doing episode 4 over again. I was like, okay. Episode 8, I have to give like a D+, C-. I was just like, they had some good plot threads. It just seemed like they didn't know what they wanted to do, and it goes back to Tommy's point to where things weren't planned out. They just kept changing directors. It was like, pick one. And then episode 9, I haven't seen yet, so I can't judge it. But I'm assuming. I was uninterested after 8.
Wait, what was the first one?
Please
What
don't
was the
watch it.
first one that Disney did? Episode
7.
7, right? I was really disappointed in that one.
So tell us your thoughts. Yeah.
Well, one, there wasn't a lightsaber until like the last.
That's an interesting point.
You know what I mean?
There
There wasn't a lightsaber until like the last 30
Half
minutes
hour,
of the
yeah.
movie, and I was like, man, where's that? That sucks. But okay, I want to talk about it real quick because it's becoming older and older as time goes. But like you love music, right?
Yeah.
All right, we got to talk about the Doc D album in Logic because
What just happened? We just went
I
from
know,
Star
because-
Wars to Dr. Destruction.
Bro, because like I've been wanting to talk about it with somebody and I haven't had a chance to talk about it with anybody because it's such a cool, unique thing and like indie project that he put
It's
out.
very
You
cool.
love do you like Logic?
Yeah, I fuck with Logic.
Okay.
Transition Kings.
Yeah.
Like, but like.
No.
Star Wars
Jordan
is-
was actually the person who got me into Logic. Jordan
Really?
more than fucks with. Jordan enjoys
Okay.
Logic. Yes.
Okay.
Jordan fucks with Logic.
So have you heard
heavily.
that? Have you heard the mixtape yet? Is
Not
it-
yet, and Tommy's gonna get on my ass because I still
Bro.
haven't listened to No Pressure all the way through
He-
yet. Can you
What?
please relax?
He's
I
like,
thought
what?
it was his last album, so when an artist puts out their last album, Adam, I really take my time before I listen
okay,
to it.
okay. I
Like,
like
Mac
that.
Miller put out Swimming and then Circles. I still haven't listened to Circles.
Really?
And I have all of Mac's mixtapes and all of his albums. I even have like his like fucking Kids and easy cheesy.
So
Mac
what are you
shit.
waiting for?
I don't know. I just feel like I'm just so afraid that I'll listen to it and I'll be like, fuck, I'm never gonna hear any more new Mac Miller stuff. I'm like, I think I just like the feeling of knowing that I
Okay.
still
So you
have
don't
it.
So, like-
listen to it to continue living in a world where there's still more music that you'll hear from the
I mean, I'll
artist.
eventually listen to it, but I think it's just like, I don't know.
But why don't you just go ahead and just listen to Doc D knowing that you'll still have no pressure? They're not even related, so it's not like
Well, I
one...
think that's the thing with Logic. Like, I use the Mac Miller one as a more definitive example, but with Logic, it's just been a thing where it's like there's just so much music, dude. I was listening to the Duckworth album. I was listening to some Joe Hertz. I was listening to like Han. I was just like, there's just so much stuff.
Wait,
Like,
Duckworth album? You mean Kendrick?
no, so
What are you
it's
talking
like,
about?
it's he's literally like his name is like literally spelled like DCKWR.
It's just an artist called Duckworth.
Oh,
So he's just
I
like
haven't heard of him.
Yeah,
Let me
he's,
check him out.
his album is like super. It's called Super Good, and it's a good album. But there's just so much music. Like Tom Mish's, I'm going through his stuff again. I'm like Sango has like multiple albums. Like
I wish
Abjo and stuff.
I
There's
wish
just
Kendrick
so
would
much-
just drop an album called Duckworth. That'd be great. But yeah, there is a lot of music out there. But it's just like, I don't know. When I'm a fan of an artist, I just want to hear like what they came up with. And like I'm telling you, both of them are great projects.
I believe it.
Like I don't know how long you're gonna wait. I just want to fucking talk to you about it.
I'll
And if
listen
I
to it
have to wait
soon.
like 3 years to talk to you about this
Oh,
album,
no, it
I'm gonna
won't,
scream.
Tom.
Are
It
you
won't-
talking about
No, I'm just talking about No Pressure.
Oh, No Pressure. Okay.
So it won't be 3 years. And just like I don't know, man. I've just been listening to a lot of music, but I will listen to it soon. I think I'm not even gonna front. I think a part of it is just like after everybody, I kind of started to feel a little. I was a little worried going into everybody, and then after hearing it, I was like, I don't know if I like this.
You didn't like Everybody?
It was
Or
fine.
is it called? Is it? Yeah, it's Everybody.
It was fine, but
Sometimes I
was
call
just
it
like,
everyone.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, no, it's not everyone. It's
I know,
Everybody.
it's-
I was just like, I don't know. There's just too many. Who can relate? And it's like, goddamn. It's
Yeah.
like, I was like, he was rehashing topics so
Sure.
often. I was like,
Sure.
I don't.
Let me tell you
I
about
don't-
this time I was black and then I was white and then I'm black and I'm white and I'm black and I'm white and I'm
And I
black and I'm
fuck
white.
with it, but it's
Yeah.
just like,
And I'm
all
black
right,
and I'm
man.
white. And I don't even fuck with
I
it
was
like
like,
that.
there's just he rehashed the same thing too many times. I was like, ah. And then there were just some projects like Supermarket that I was like, what was he doing with
Yeah, that
this
was wild.
one?
That was his. That was his
He was
little
like, this is
adventure.
wild.
And then there was Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, which
Yeah, that was okay. Wasn't a huge fan of that one.
But I'm telling you, put no pressure on, and it feels like it belongs in there with Under Pressure and The Incredible True Story. Like, it feels like the logic you wish never went away. And then obviously all the young Sinatra shit is just untouchable. Like,
Yeah.
pun intended.
All right, man.
Like, it really is, like, incredible. He's such a great MC, and I wish he never changed his style up. Not that artists shouldn't be allowed to. Artists should always be able to change their style up.
Yeah,
and
he should be
explore
able
with
to
new sounds.
evolve, but it was just, I think he ran out of he just put out too much shit
Yes,
too
that
quickly.
I agree.
think he
Whenever
overworked.
he was dropping like 3 projects in a year, I was like, whoa. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I feel like anxiety because you're
like-
putting out so much shit. I'm like, whoa, I can't even take a
and
breath to
as fans,
be
we
with this.
want to digest it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, are you the type of person who wants to listen to an album, or either a concept album in specific, like from start to finish, all the way through in one sitting?
So when I first listen to any album, I try and make it so that I just listen to it all at once.
Okay.
I'm like, I listened recently to like the Healy album, and I just listened to it from start to finish
Yeah.
while I was just like editing. That's usually
Yeah.
my favorite avenue. And also, like, when I move, I'm gonna probably get a standing desk. That would be the move, by the way, to get a standing desk, like you mentioned, like the posture stuff. But yeah, like editing is when I just like to listen to albums like front to back. Like I remember when I listened to Pimp a Butterfly, just in my dorm sophomore year, I just sat down on my bed and I just like sat down and just listened to it all the way through.
What a
Nothing else.
fucking
And it was just like,
amazing
dude, that album was just like, I'd
I
like
just
to do
get-
that with some.
Bro, I just get chills just thinking about the album because that's my favorite hip hop album of all time.
Fair enough.
That's
Dude,
my
I mean,
personal favorite hip hop. I told you that, Tom. Like that shit
like,
hit me.
and it's
bro.
not like you can look at it and be like, what? Like,
No,
everyone can
yes.
have their opinion, but honestly,
That's
I feel
my
like a lot of
opinion, yeah.
people could agree with that.
That's like my take to an island kind of. That's the type of music that just lives on forever. You know, there's music that will just live on. It has its repeat is it's endless, dude. You
like
can listen to it.
Like
forever.
some projects are like timeless, like Blueprint. That
Yeah.
timeless project. Like some things you can just say, like, yeah, I can agree with that. Like I might not choose that, but I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
All right, Planetary Destruction,
Okay.
bro. Okay, I love this out. It's a mixtape, right?
mixtape,
Okay,
yes.
I love this mixtape
It's a
so
true
much.
mixtape. It's like a Dat Piff. You can only listen to it on
Bro,
like,
it's
a
so
mixtape.
cool. I had to re-download Dat Piff on my phone, but
Oh,
I don't
shit.
care. But like, I love this project so much because it's so artistic and it's so independent, it's so indie, craft, unique. Although he is pulling from a lot of like he's always done that though. His inspirations from whatever has inspired him.
Right.
And it's very MF Doom. It's very like kind of New York North. And it also has this anime kind of cartoon. Like it feels like you're in a
It's a
cartoon
fucking
show or
East
something.
Coast Underground Toonami album. Okay, like it's like
I
a
bet
fucking-
this shit sounds
Yeah.
crazy.
It's crazy, bro. It's so unique and it's so different from anything that's coming out right now that it's really like just been so fun to listen to. I've listened to it at least 5 times now from front to back.
Bet
And
that.
it's been out for what, like 3 weeks now? 2, 3, 4 weeks?
Oh shit! What was I doing
But,
right when it came out?
I sent it to Tom because I was like, Tom, listen to this guy. And I sent, I didn't say who it was. I just said, look, Doc D. I was like, just listen to Doc D. He was like, who the fuck is this? Some fake MF Doom wannabe? And I was like, bro, just listen. I didn't want to tell him who it was because it was so exciting. Like when I first heard it, I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, I wanted him to like listen and figure out who it was.
So did Logic do any voice distortion?
Yes,
shit?
yes, it's a voice
Yeah.
distortion.
Oh,
so
man.
the whole time,
So
yeah.
all right, so when he's rapping, he's got a voice distortion on. His voice is like 1 octave deeper. But the whole episode is hosted as if it was like a radio show,
Right.
and Logic voices the radio DJ
Yeah.
in his normal voice. And it's his normal voice, but it's the way he talks. He's like, "We're here with Doc D," as
he's doing it perfect.
as he's doing his impending rampage.
Yeah.
You're locked into the cosmos. Like, you know, he's like talking like that. So Doc D, tell us about when Sharon broke your heart. And then he'll like come in as Doc D.
You can't give anything away though, because
Yeah.
I'm
I'm not gonna spoil what happens in the album.
Yeah.
But the whole time he's rapping with a voice distortion on. And there's some features on there that go. He's got like Big
Pharaoh-
Lembo is
Pharaoh
rapping
the
on
Monk?
it.
I'll bet.
Yeah. He's got Del the Funky Homo Sapien is on there. It's like there's a lot of like really cool features, especially just like hearing Big Lembo rap on any Logic
He's
track
so-
is really
he's-
dope.
He's so good.
So it's pretty sick. I feel like no, I was gonna say Steve Blum or however you say his last name, the guy that does like all the voices for Toonami and all those. I thought he was on there, but he's not. But it's just good. It's just really,
It's refreshing,
really
man.
good.
I love everything about it, especially like I love concept albums, and the plot is so cool because it takes you through this story and it throws you into this universe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to take place in the future, and it throws you into this universe.
2097 takes place in 2097.
Yeah, and it's just so fun to listen to. It's been a while since I listened to something, and I like have fun listening. I laugh so many times.
It's
like
hilarious. Yeah.
I've laughed. I like. There's some parts where it's just like, it just. I don't know. I'm in it. Like I feel like I'm in there. Like I'm watching this cool anime series, like watching Cowboy Bebop for the first time or something. Like it's that kind of feel. You know what I mean? It's like this original. But even though he's taken so much, because it has all these MF Doom sample beats, like crazy artistic shit, and I just love it, man.
I'm looking forward to listening to
recorded it in 24 hours apparently. Like he just
That's insane.
Yeah.
I
love
love
listening to that shit right now.
It's amazing. But anyways, we can talk about some. I've been
Dude,
diving deep into that.
That's how a conversation should be. Like, if you
Yeah.
got something you're passionate about, bring it up, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
share with the class, man. Like, that's it.
All
On
right.
that note, what happened to C. Castro?
I don't know. Is he alive?
I don't know. That had bars, though, bro.
I mean, we're talking
he would
about
show up
an
on certain features and on Logic
OG
songs.
Rat Pack member,
That shit was...
and he's just gone.
I don't know where he is.
I think they had a falling out,
Maybe.
and
That would
they,
make sense.
and I guess like, I mean, Logic was kind of just like the clout provider, and then like once that friendship was severed, I guess that was like the end for C.
That happens a lot with situations like that, where artists, like you hear them for a couple years and then they're just gone.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Who was Mr. Fantastic on the MF Doom tracks?
we were talking about that.
You
the
know,
other day.
like,
Have you heard King Ghidorah?
I've heard it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
all right, King
Yeah.
Ghidorah, one of the coldest fucking albums.
So fucking.
But
good.
like Mr. Fantastic raps on Antimatter, but then on Food, he also raps on Rap Snitch Knishes, which is like the classic MF Doom
Yeah.
track that everyone knows when you think of MF Doom. But like Mr. Fantastic, hot take, is the best part of Rap Snitch Knishes. Like I swear to
Yeah.
God, if I would like walk 10 miles through the fucking snow for just a Mr. Fantastic album. Like he's fuck. I fucking love hip hop. God damn.
That's a good conversation. Like, there's certain moments where it's just like, you really got, like, he ate you up on your own song. Like, how does that feel? Like,
Yeah.
because I felt like with certain things, there would also, what was I just thinking about? There was,
bro, y'all never guess how long we've been talking. I just looked at
probably
time.
3.5
It
hours.
blew me. I was like, what?
The length of a fucking Lord of the Rings movie. I don't know.
2 hours and 50 minutes right now.
All right, we're gonna go to 3, and then we got to call it. Cause I have to.
I could understand that, but I mean, like, to like a lesser extent, remember like 6 foot, 7 foot. Like, I feel like Corey Guns and like Wayne had a lot of iconic bars, but I mean, like Corey Guns, like who the fuck? Where is this guy? But he was going crazy on that song.
He was going crazy.
It's just like, like J. Cole in like 2019, he was literally taking everyone's lunch for features. It's
Yeah.
just like there's certain songs where it's like, and they won't even be bad. It's just like, well, damn, like
Right.
I guess that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so interesting. I always wonder how it would make me feel if I was a rapper and I just got fucking like just eaten up on my own track. You know?
It's like that RDC World video. Just like, I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's just like they're in like this studio or whatever, and it's like, yo, he just sent over his verse. And then they listen to it, and they're like, and then it's like, that shit ain't better than me though. It's like, and then someone's like, what the fuck you mean? Like, his shit was way better than,
Right.
oh, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. Like,
Bro,
this is like,
Big Sean Control and have
Oh
Kendrick up on that.
yeah.
You're just like, wow.
that's
why,
an iconic one, yeah.
why did I even make my verse? I should just let that be Kendrick's
Right.
song. Like,
Or like when it's not even like tracks that aren't even like when you're a featured artist, when you just like take someone's beat and you just rap on it. Like when Kendrick rapped on A Tale of Two Cities, the J. Cole track.
Yeah.
And that shit, like, first of all, the original song is amazing. And J. Cole is amazing. But Kendrick, like, desecrated that fucking beat. Like, the beat was like eviscerated when Kendrick was done with it. Like, I don't want to say he like ate J. Cole up, but like still.
Didn't Cole do that shit with All Right, and then he cleaned it up
Yeah,
too?
it was Black Friday. Yeah.
He's
I
fucking
like
dude.
J. Cole's verse.
We
on that.
were
It was
supposed to
really
get
nice.
a fucking collaboration album. We were supposed to get a Black Friday album, which was going to be just a complete J. Cole Kendrick album. I don't think the world is ready for it. Like,
Well, Cole said it. He said they can't handle
yeah,
two people that smart. Or and he said it
somewhere
the N-word,
they've
but-
recorded it.
Yeah.
Somewhere
I wouldn't
it's
be
like
surprised if they had
it's
those tracks
on
somewhere.
someone's computer.
What about Detox?
Yeah,
When is that coming out?
I mean, I don't know.
Like on Dre's deathbed. All right, drop it.
I don't know. Like, there's just certain things that's like, do you think there's a Blueprint 5? Was like Blueprint 4 the last one, or was it 3 or 4 that Jay-Z dropped? Is like the
I
like
don't.
the most
I think
recent
it's 3 is the most recent.
Well,
That was a while
what if
ago.
there's a Blueprint 4? I wouldn't be surprised if he has it.
Is it weird that I don't really care about any more Jay-Z music?
Because
Oh,
he's retired. Dude, well, I can understand. He's retired and he's literally just an OG now. Like he's
Yeah.
not.
Well, his
doing music.
I think you feel that way because his last like few projects weren't.
he kind of
up to-
sleptwalked through certain parts of them.
Yeah.
In our opinion, now that we're just talking as like 3 dudes that don't make music, but like.
But also, you
as
get to
fans,
this point,
yeah.
like same with Eminem, you get to this point where you've been doing it for so long that it's like we've heard, like, what else can you put out that's like gonna be new and like fresh and like different? That's gonna make me listen like with new ears and new,
You
like
could
be like a
rap about how
novel
he-
experience.
cheated on Beyonce.
Yeah.
I was all into
Hey,
some
ho.
chick.
I'm an ugly motherfucker, but I'm still fucking hoes. Ho. You know, like I don't know how. Why would you even try? Like, if you're Jay-Z,
I
the
think
idea
the-
of cheating on Beyonce is so stupid, and it didn't matter. He's still married to her. Wow.
I like the Blueprint 3 was dope. And I like the project that him and Kanye dropped, whatever that album
Watch
was called.
the Throne.
Watch the Throne.
Yeah,
was
there
pretty
was
cool.
supposed to be a second one, but they fell out. Right?
That's more Kanye's fault.
I mean, of course it was.
Like, but I don't know. Like, I guess that's just
But they,
people just hold on to things. I guess. They're
Yeah.
Like, yeah. This is for me. Like, no one else will see it.
yeah.
A new collab project I'm really excited about. You mentioned Bruno Mars and
Oh,
Anderson
shit.
.Paak coming out.
Silk Sonic.
Dog.
Everyone, mark your goddamn calendar.
Just
That's
in
gonna-
time for spring,
I
man.
love-
I think it's like
Just in
March
time for
5th. They're going to
spring.
drop the first single. Silk Sonic, calling it now.
Sounds
in before
cool.
the world goes crazy. Silk Sonic is going to be like the soundtrack of the fucking spring. Like, it is going to be wild.
I
First
love
of all,
Anderson .Paak.
I've been needing Bruno Mars. Like, I'm not a Bruno Mars super fan.
He's been off for
But
like 4 or
that
5
man-
years now.
He doesn't miss. Like, you know, if you want to say he's a pop star or whatever, that's fine. He doesn't miss. 24 Karat Magic is a fucking banger. It still is. And the fact that he's going to get on there with Pac, like,
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
it's going to be ridiculous because, like, and Anderson has been dropping music relatively
Pretty
frequently.
consistent. Yeah.
And he's another person that just does not miss. He is
Shout out, Breezy
probably...
Lovejoy.
I would go as far as to say he is like in my top 3 favorite current music artists. In terms of
Yeah.
dudes that are regularly currently putting out music, I fucking love Anderson.
And he's like the new age kind of artist where like he can do it all, man. He's at heart like a vocalist,
yeah, but
a drummer.
he is an amazing
you
drummer.
know, yeah.
Musician.
He can
Yeah.
dance. He, you know, like, yeah. And it's just like stylistically, like conceptually, where he goes with his music, what he's just like cooking up in his head, the sound that he's crafted.
Mm-hmm.
It's so genuine and so cool and so unique. You know,
Bro, the first time I heard him on Compton on
Yeah.
Dr. Dre's album, which is an awesome album by the way, but you can only buy it CD. It's not on like any streaming services, which is
so-
really cool.
Damn, such
they
a Dr.
pulled- they
Dre
yanked it
thing.
from the. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I had to buy the CD.
no,
which
didn't
is
we
dope.
find it somewhere though?
No, dude, it's still only CD.
No, man, we found it somewhere.
Okay, well, illegally.
It was on Tidal or something, wasn't it? Like, we found it
I don't
somewhere.
know. Okay, it was some app that no one uses, but anyways,
Oh, shots
Whoa,
fired.
we're not getting
Anyways-
sponsored by them.
anyways, Anderson .Paak was on like 6 tracks on that album.
Yeah.
He like made that album what it was. Like obviously Dre produced the shit out of it, but his vocals on there was so cool and different. I was like, who is this
Animals
guy?
is still one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, like who is
Yeah.
this guy? He's so talented. And then that's when he went and listened to Malibu, and what is his other
And
mixtape?
like Venice and stuff.
Dude,
Adam.
it's so unique and different.
Is the camera on you right now?
Yeah.
It's on Spotify.
No way.
Yeah.
That's new. Okay, when it first came out, it wasn't on Spotify.
I know.
But anyway, that's cool that it's on there. I didn't know that.
And I will say, Tommy, please don't jinx it, because Adam, I don't know if you remember summer. What was it? Like Funk Wave Bounces. Volume one,
Summer of
from Calvin. From summer of 2017.
17?
Calvin Harris when he made like Funk Wave Bounces Volume 1. Tommy and I were like, oh shit, soundtrack of the summer. Can't wait for Volume 2.
and it never.
Don't you put that evil on us with Silk Sonic, where it's like soundtrack of the spring. Can't wait for the next project from them.
Yeah.
Never drops.
Calvin Harris.
I haven't
did it
listened to that.
way.
I'm about to go back and listen to that.
You haven't
I've
listened
never
to
listened
Funk
to
Wave
it.
Bounces.
No.
Wait until the spring, bro.
Is it good?
Like you'll
I'm gonna
have
check
a
it out.
nice-
Wait like 3 days till it hits March 1st, and just hit play on Funk Wave Bounces. It's such a vibe.
Spring, summer, it's perfect.
Yeah. Another collab that's coming out is Travis Scott and Kid Cudi, which I'm excited for.
The Scots, yeah.
This should be really dope.
I'm fucking
So I'm a
with
huge Cudi fan, and then Travis obviously being from Houston's dope.
I'm
And,
you know, like this might be blasphemy or whatever as a Houstonian. I'm not a gigantic Travis.
No,
Scott
I'm not
fan.
either.
I
I'm
fuck
not
with
either.
Trav, but I think people sometimes are like, oh, Travis. I'm like,
His McDonald's
he's,
meal.
I was like,
he's
go get the
definitely
McDonald's meal.
he's definitely overhyped. But what I've been told is that you haven't fully experienced Travis Scott until you've been to one of his live concerts.
His shit is crazy.
Have you been?
So he opened for Kendrick in like the summer of 17, I think.
Okay.
And his shit is pretty on point.
Yeah.
He was riding on an eagle and shit.
Because some artists are like that. Like
it's hype, bro.
Some artists are like, okay, you have to see them live to really appreciate like what they do and like their energy. And but I do think he's a little overhyped as far as like, I mean, he's an amazing producer for sure. But his sound to me personally has gotten old. Like I can't wait for him to bring a new sound because he's got that kind of like, I don't want to say genius like Kanye, but he has his own sound.
He has his pocket.
And I can't wait for him to finally like break his older sound and come to like something newer and just something different. Really, I want to hear what else. Like I want to see his expansiveness. I want to see what else he can do with music. You know, because he has that capability.
So that's the dangerous part, and we could probably have a different conversation. But since we're rapping, and like,
we're going so long.
Did we hit 3?
Not yet.
All right.
That's probably the
Not
thing
yet.
where it's just like, is he in too deep to where it's just like. Because I was telling Alex, like, with Rodeo, he sold, I think, 70K, and then with Bird, he sold 120K. And I was telling Alex, I was like, he'll probably sell 175 for first week. But off the Kardashian hype, and then just off of his own natural hype, and I was like, oh, shit, it's called Astroworld. People in the nation, and especially Houston and Texas, were excited for this on all 3 levels, local, like regional, and national. That shit went like 300K first week. And people were like, holy shit, Travis, this sound.
Right.
I think he might be so commercially successful now to where it's like he might be kind of restricted and just branching out and doing shit. Well, and it's almost like no, Travis, don't change your formula.
Right.
The money,
it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
Because he can go about it different ways. Many artists have done it. Like for example, Taylor Swift right now is coming out with like these really cool like vocal guitar kind of like just like very like mature sounding music as before. You know, she was country pop, and you can see evolution of artists. But she got to the point where she had the blessings to do that. Like she had the money, she had her own kind of, she could make her own lane.
Once you're established, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, so I think Travis is almost there, but it's kind of like it's obviously the label is involved. You have other people involved. You still have to make hits. You still have to sell. You still have to do these things. So is his creative capability being tampered a little bit? Does he have the freedom to do it? And he doesn't want to do it to make money. It does get kind of complicated when you get into that whole.
What about the other aspect? What if he's just like, I really don't know how to do it.
Yeah, it could be that for sure. Writer's block and producer's block.
Whatever. Like, nah, this is my pocket. I don't really know how to do other shit. Like Mac Miller, just seeing the shit he went through and like how he progressed. Like, we would love for people to do that throughout their entire careers, but sometimes it's just like people find their pocket and like, I'm staying in this.
Do y'all like Mike Posner?
I like his new shit. I do like
his
his
new
new
stuff. Is he that
stuff.
dude that walked across the country?
He walked across the motherfucking country.
Is he that dude who walked across the country?
I only remember that
snake.
one song that like, you think you're cooler than me or something.
Yeah, that's
like,
what everyone thinks. Yeah.
All
I
right.
thought the same thing too.
Listen to his. I don't know what the newest album is called, but the album before, and like the cover of the album is a picture of him walking across.
Is it called Keep Going? I think.
Keep Going. The album before the current one. I haven't listened to the newest one.
The current one is called Operation Wake Up, and it's
that sounds pretty dope.
It's a concept album. It's short. It's sweet to the point. It's got a really nice plot. It's a whole story. It's a one day. The album takes place in one day, from him like waking up, getting like a haircut, going to like meet this person, having a party, and then like you get to see the. It's a really cool, unique album, and he's also that kind of unique person. He like does a lot of his own production, singing, rapping. He does it all, kind of thing. But yeah, a lot of people label him as a pop artist, which he's not. He's kind of just his own indie kind of sound.
He's changed.
And I don't think he gets a lot of credit. I mean, I'm sure he has a good, solid fan base following, but as far as like the hip hop world and stuff, I think he could be respected more as just like an artist because I've been loving his music, and I was the same way as you. Was like, he's just a pop artist.
I just didn't remember him very much. There's been so much other stuff.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I'm down. I'm gonna give it a look.
Check him out. He's dope.
Check him out for sure. Okay, all right. Just because I said that we were going to come back to this, I have to come back to this.
Go ahead.
Ladybird's dog walker. Ladybird's dog walker. My dog's name is Ladybird. Lady Gaga's dog walker. I don't know if this was yesterday or the day before. He was walking her 2 French bulldogs, and someone pulled up on him with the toolie and like shot him and stole her dogs. And
what?
Stole her French bulldogs. Has not returned them yet. She is offered to pay $500,000 for the dogs back. And no questions asked, like just return the dogs. You will be given $500,000. The dog walker, I guess, was in critical condition, but now it looks like he's expected to make a full recovery. But so there's now been surveillance footage from like someone's security camera of the incident. He's like walking the dogs. Car pulls up. I guess they like try and take the dogs from him.
Yeah, it looked
And-
like a struggle.
And he's like fighting them, and like he goes to the ground, and he's like still holding onto the
Oh,
leash.
he's screaming too
and
at the
he
same
starts
time.
screaming, and like he starts like calling all this attention, and he's screaming and he's screaming. They take the dog, and then while he's on the ground, they like shoot him.
What?
Yeah, Lady Gaga's dogs. Yeah. So that's when we were talking about the French bulldogs, and I was like, "We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it."
Holy
I would have
shit.
felt like a dick if I said that, and then we just never touched it for like 2 hours. So that's what happened. Lady Gaga's dog walker was shot. They stole her dogs. We don't know if they knew they were Lady Gaga's dogs, if someone just stole them just because they were like, "Look, French bulldogs. Those
Yeah.
are worth a couple grand," you know. So, but anyway, yeah, and he's gonna make it. Long story short, I would have let him have those goddamn dogs. I would have been like, "Yo,
Dog, man.
have them," you know. But luckily, he's gonna be okay. I hope she gets her dogs back.
Yeah.
If not, she can buy more. You know, I mean, like I just don't understand like why this man allowed himself to be shot over these damn dogs. They weren't even his. I love dogs. I love dogs so fucking much. I'm a huge dog person. But if someone pulled up on me with a gun and wanted dogs that weren't even mine, and the dogs belonged to a mega millionaire, I'd be like, you can have them.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, that's all we have time for today. Thank you guys for listening
Good
to the
closing.
Midnight Variety Hour. Once again, Jordan Eddings, my very good friend and our talented guest for today. This has been the Midnight Variety Hour. I hope you guys all had a good time listening to it, and stay safe out there in the cosmos.
Peace, y'all.